Me on the live stream. If this is your first time stopping by, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back, Soul Family. We're going to give it just a few minutes to see who comes into the stream so we can get started and hopefully we'll have some fun this evening. I do want to make an announcement. If you're watching this, of course, if you're watching it in live, I may have to repeat this, but if you are watching it in the replay, I do want to let you all know I have finally been given the green light to go live on my other channel, Anunnaki Oracle Priestess. So starting tomorrow, for the next few days, I'll be doing some morning tarot sessions where I will be doing complimentary uh, mini readings on that channel. So definitely, if you have not subscribed to that channel yet, you may want to go over there and subscribe and set for the notifications. So when I go live tomorrow, you'll be able to get that notification. Hey, Brittany, and hey, Jamila, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. They finally, like less than an hour ago, they finally cleared me for live streaming on the other channel. So yeah, I'll be jumping on there doing that. How are y'all doing today? Good, good. I'm glad you're doing well, Jamila. Brittany, you hanging in there, mama? I'm good. I'm decent. Yeah. Like I said, it doesn't feel like I did a lot today, but I still don't even feel terribly bad about it. No. Usually I wind up beating myself up for what I haven't done, but I'm letting go of that too. So today was a good day. Trying to see who all else is gonna come in here before we get started. Well, you know what though? It's three of us in here. Like I said, that's a party right there. What's on your mind? What you want to talk about today? Anybody got questions? I was gonna take a little extra time and jump further into the Book of Enoch, but I'll wait either until tonight after we finish or tomorrow to get in there. You know, it's kind of interesting to me though. I will have to say, yesterday I was kind of reflecting. You said, "How is the book going?" I put a pin in the 12th planet just so that we could get through the Book of Enoch. It's taken a little longer than I had intended to. Listening to the narration of Enoch all the way through is about 4 hours, but because I'm stopping and reflecting and talking about it and all that, I'm breaking it up into other sections as I read through. So I do intend to finish the Book of Enoch this week, and we'll get back to the 12th planet because I do need to jump back in there. I've been a little lazy with Sitch and stuff. Hey, Muhammad, how are you? And hey, 310 Man Ruth, how are you? And you know what, y'all, when we were sitting there, yesterday's live stream had me thinking, and it's weird the things I think about because, I mean, I know we get a lot of the trolls, and I was thinking about some of the folks towards the end that was really wanting to scream on the religion thing and all of that. But I was sitting there today, and I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I was reflecting, and most people, if you ask them in this day and time, most people, regardless of where we at in the world, if you would ask most people, they would have to say that they understand that our government, wherever we at, thank you, Noel, I appreciate you, that our governments don't always operate in our best interest. When I say our, meaning the common people. Is that correct or is it not? Most people don't really trust our government to tell us 100% of the truth. We're starting to understand that our educational system is not telling us 100% of the truth. Our government is not telling us 100% of the truth. And because of, oh, honey, I'm so sorry, light bulb guys. I have not been on Instagram in a hot minute, but yeah, I will. Thank you for reminding me of that. If you have DM'd me on Instagram after tonight's live stream, I will go in on Instagram and see who all has DM'd me, and I'll send you the link over there. But truthfully, if you go on WhatsApp, it is a public group. It's called Transformation, Rebirth, Ascension. And to be honest, I haven't done a whole lot of extra content or anything on there. Normally, I just share links to whatever I'm uploading to the channel. I'll share that there. So if you're here on the live streams, you're getting the best part of it. Hey Weston, and hey Del GP. No, I'm not gonna read the Quran, my dear. I don't need to, but I appreciate the offer. I'm good though. I promise you, I'm good on that. Hey Emmanuel, how are you? Even if I believed for a second that Allah, Yahweh, was the true God, which I don't, I could not agree with Islam with the way they treat women. I'm sorry. I am an American woman that was born in the late 60s and then come up through this time. There is no way in hell that anybody could ever convince me to crawl under the thumb of Islam. I dated a Muslim dude and he understood I wasn't ever gonna convert to Islam. No. Sorry. Right. But this is my point. People can accept that the government doesn't tell us the truth. They can accept that because of the government, our educational system doesn't tell us the truth. Our scientists don't tell us all of the truth. And our political system does not always operate in our best interest. And our media doesn't tell us the truth. They can accept that 90% of people, there's not that many people on the planet today that's so naive that they really believe that our government wouldn't ever lie to us and is operating in our best interest. Not that many naive people. But my question is, if you understand that your government has been lying to you and media is lying to you on behalf of the government, what really makes you think religion is telling you the truth either? Because even though Yeshua said Caesar's things to Caesar, God's things to God, that church and state are not supposed to mix. Church and state have been mixing ever since before Bible times. Why do you think they refer to the religious systems of the world as Babylon the Great, the harlot? Because she has literally, religion has prostituted themselves on the altar of government. That is what the scriptures mean when they refer to the religious systems of the world as Babylon the Great. At Babel, they had all of those people, it was like I said, that great unity, and they wanted to build that tower to the heavens. Yahweh got mad and split them up and diversified the languages and everything else to keep them stuck. Why do you really think that Christianity, Islam, and Judaism is telling you the truth in 2025 when they done manipulated everything else around us? We don't have to stay stuck in that kind of naivety. We really don't. I'm just saying. I am a little bit earlier than usual, bro. 100. I usually wind up a few minutes late. So today I was going to jump in and do a little bit more in the book of Enoch, but I also realized I'd probably get stuck in there and wind up being late again. So rather than be late, I decided to just be a little bit early. Since my phone was charged, I didn't have no excuse not to. Emmanuel, but that's the thing. All that obeisance to God, no, that's obeisance to Yahweh, my love, or Allah. And the real God don't require all of that. Hey, Dutchie, appreciate you. Thank you. We're not supposed to worship. We really are not, though, light bulb. That's a large part of my platform as I have begun to go through. Oh, okay. You do understand that? Okay. Because the more I dig through this stuff, Enki never demanded worship. The creator of all doesn't demand worship. The entire platform of worship is a configuration of Yahweh, the very worst of the Anunnaki, the one that literally hates humanity with a passion. It ain't about pagan, Hebert. It has nothing to do with paganism, because guess what? Christianity is the most pagan religion still standing on this planet. Every single religious holiday, holy day, tradition, everything in Christianity has pagan origins. Go look it up if you don't believe me. Easter is absolutely a black magic curse and ritual with a fertility ritual topped on it. It ain't got nothing to do with the resurrection of Jesus. Christmas is the Saturnalia. Valentine's Day is Lupercalia. Halloween is the Day of the Dead. Y'all don't know. You have no idea what they got y'all doing. The book of Enoch was omitted from the Holy Bible because it told too much of the truth. All of the Apocrypha tells more of the story than what the religious leaders wanted us to know. They could not hold to the narrative that they painted within these 66 books if they allowed them other 30 or so back in. That's all. They just really couldn't. Hey, Osis Gordon. Yeah. Well, the thing is, first off, what do a rabbit laying chicken eggs have to do with Yeshua? Period. That's a fertility ritual to the goddess Ostara, and people don't even understand that. But even the whole idea of the crucifixion story and the resurrection and Palm Sunday, Good Friday, Palm Sunday, all of that in Deuteronomy, I believe it is, it will tell you, it's either Deuteronomy or Daniel, but I think it's Deuteronomy. It says that hanging any man that is hung from a tree is cursed. And Paul even stated, oh, it was good that he wore this curse for us. He didn't have to wear no curse for us. They killed him because they didn't like his message, period. Yeah, the astral world is real according to Thoth, Harry Shannon, but it also tells you to be very careful roaming around the astral world. Thoth encourages us, number one, until you get to a level of spirituality that you know what you're doing, to leave the astral world alone. But if you're going to deal with the astral, move in curves, do not move in angles and corners, because there are wicked entities that do hang around in the astral. Everything in the astral is not of love and light. Just like Enki has angels that are of light, Yahweh, Satan, has angels that are of the dark. And if you mess around in the astral and don't know what you're doing, there's some real soul snatchers out there. So just be careful. You said, are all the other gods real? Hecate, yes. Yeah. Here's the thing. What you would have to go back through the pantheons, but that's one of the reasons why I speak about the Anunnaki, because that's going back to the very first one. You just, like when you name Zeus and Poseidon right there, people don't understand that, but in the Greek pantheon, Zeus is Yahweh Jehovah. Poseidon is Lord Enki, his brother. In the I can't remember who Yahweh is in the Egyptian pantheon, but in the Egyptian pantheon, Enki is Ptah. In the Nordic pantheon, Odin is Yahweh, and Loki is Enki. I'm aware of Kemetic science of Sas, but again, Yeshua, when I became clairaudiently linked with Yeshua, he took me back to the beginning. So there's no need for me to keep messing around in later pantheons and confuse the issue, because from the Babylonian stories forward, they began to be diluted and convoluted, and it was a lot of self-aggrandizing to elevate certain deities. Instead of just telling people what happened, they started really messing with the story. It's just like if you've ever played the game of telephone in school where somebody whispers something and then somebody else whispered to somebody else, and by the time you get 10 people down the line, it's a completely different story. All of the religions have been kind of sort of adulterated like that, and especially the Abrahamic religions, because Yahweh didn't want us to have the truth anyway. They deliberately put some stuff in there to keep us stuck and ignorant. So I just don't really mess with them that much. Hey, Harry Shannon. How do you pay the one you love respect? The same way you would anything else. I talk to Yeshua. I talk to Enki. I talk to Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael. I talk to the Ascended Masters. I just understand all of the bowing and scraping that Yahweh demands. I don't have to do. Now, I'm old school, so I was taught to pray to God in Jesus' name and say amen at the end of it. But I did have to learn, when you say in Jesus' name, Jesus, there was no J in the Hebrew language. Jesus means hail Zeus. So truthfully, if you're praying to Yahweh and then close that prayer in Jesus' name, that's also praying, it's doubling down on the Yahweh issue. And then closing a prayer with Amen is a binding spell back to Amun Ra, Marduk. So I do not close prayers in Jesus' name, saying amen anymore. If I'm speaking to them, if I chose to close a prayer formally, I would say in Yeshua's name, so be it, so mote it be, Ashe, something like that. But I would never, I'm not closing no more prayers with amen once I learn what it is. You say you took up meditation for anxiety and spontaneously started speaking in a language you don't understand. Okay, clear your energy and ask for Yeshua to bring you clarity and guidance. Because honestly, we had that conversation the other day. Some people talk about light language and stuff, but all that speaking in tongues, if you don't even understand it, I would steer clear of that and try to get that out your system and out your energy. Right, but I say it's a formality, and again, I'm not saying I've got the only all be all end all answer, but the more I learn what these things mean, I try to get those old programs and habits out of my system. So that's why I share it with y'all. Some people are going to still continue to pray to Jehovah in Jesus' name because they're not ready to let go of that yet. I can't tell somebody when to let go of it because it's not. I had to accept that as well. I used to get frustrated with I'm saying this over and over every day, and people just ain't getting it. And then I had Yeshua kind of pull my collar a little bit. He was on here. His ministry lasted 3 straight years. Every single day he was out there trying to teach the Jews, and they still didn't get it. In fact, they were so angry about what he had to say that they had him put to death. So I can't even get mad that some of these trolls and stuff decide they don't get it and they don't want to hear it. It is what it is. No, amen. Go look it up, Captain P5L. Amen is a binding spell to Amun Ra. Amun Ra and Yahweh both wanted exclusive worship, and they were very, very power mad and didn't care how they went about getting it. And when Marduk went into Egypt as Ra, he insisted, he made a legal decree that all prayers, regardless of which deity you thought you wanted to pray to, all prayers had to be closed with amen, which was a binding spell to reroute all prayers back to him. Please go look that up. I'm not making it up. It does not mean true. Can I intimate about angels and their functions? The word angel means messenger. So once you actually come out of religiosity and understand what angels actually are, they were lower Anunnaki beings For example, when you look in the book of Enoch and it tells you straight up, well, don't straight up, you don't know because they don't actually name Enki, but when I wanted to start understanding the nature of God, and I started understanding that the word Elohim in the Bible does not mean God, that's a mistranslation. It means powerful ones in the plural. I started going back through and reading the scriptures, and you can separate out just from the personalities and the things that are happening. You can understand that there is more than one Elohim being referred to in many of the Bible accounts. And when you look at the book of Enoch and it starts talking about the things that were happening on earth, Yahweh is about that life. He don't give a shit what's going on earth. Half of that stuff he was down with and instituted himself. He likes keeping hell and confusion going here because a lot of his non-corporeal entities feed off of that negative energy. But Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel, and Phanuel saw what was happening down here and went back to Enki. It doesn't name him per se, but those are the two main Elohim that was here with the issue of sovereignty. So if, like I say, it couldn't have been Yahweh because he's on that demon time. So the other one would have been Enki, and they were like, Lord, what do you want us to do? They doing this, and this. They got all kind of evil going down here. We need to do something. And it's interesting because Raphael isn't named in the scriptures specifically as part of the cleanup crew, but Michael and Gabriel are in Revelation. And the Elohim that is pointing to in Revelation 21, after they get rid of Satan, Yahweh, in chapter 20 of Revelation, it specifically says in 21 that another Elohim was going to be coming down with New Jerusalem. And that's the same Elohim that Yeshua said in Revelation 3:12 was his Elohim that will be coming with New Jerusalem, with the new city, New Jerusalem coming down from heaven. And then that was in chapter 3, verse 12 of Revelation. And then in Revelation 21, it reiterates that after Satan has been deposed, this other Elohim is coming down with New Jerusalem. And then in Revelation 22, verse 12, I think it is, or towards the very end, he says that he's of the Yeshua says he's of the line of David, and he calls himself the Morning Star. That's his new name. That's the only time, like I said, he had. Oh, really, Amir? If you come here with foolishness, you'll just be removed. That's all. Hold on a second. You said you in prayer, so mote it be. That'll work too. But here's the thing: be very careful with Asherah, because Asherah is Yahweh's wife. You still on team Yahweh, basically, if you messing with Asherah. So just be careful. Although he don't care, because I think he planned on killing her, but we'll see. He said you met her in meditation when she saved you from Christianity. Maybe she ain't, and maybe that's why he's planning on killing her, because she is not putting forth his nonsense. And honestly, Osas, that's what I'm here for. Yeshua let me know that I am here to continue speaking his message, to make people aware of the lies and the subterfuge that's been put forth with religion, to dig into those texts and re-examine them with an open eye. And that's all I can do. I can't make anybody accept it. I'm very well aware many of them will not accept it. And that's okay too. Hey, Black Goddess, how are you? Hey, Niana, good to have you in here, Mama. Hey, Just T. No, everything in Revelation Osas is not physical occurrences. There's a lot of symbolism through the bulk of Revelation that they get into all of the stuff that's, and honestly, that's where a lot of people get so tripped up at, because the church have you so busy trying to figure out all the symbolism through the middle of Revelation that people forget all about the whole premise of why Revelation was happening and the end of the book. in my humble opinion, I believe that that whole Armageddon thing is describing the final skirmish in the Anunnaki Wars. The Anunnaki Wars have been happening on this planet for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And it talks about a lot of things because Enki, they, like I said, they've been around long enough that they could kind of sort of see where things were headed. So there were certain things that they could speak on as far as prophecy, not to mention the fact we are vibrational beings. If we focus on stuff long enough, it will happen. So the church has been literally praying and prophesying and preaching Armageddon long enough that truthfully, if the chosen didn't awaken and become enlightened and really redirect that, Armageddon would be an inevitable conclusion. But here's the thing. El Elyon is Yahweh light bulb. That's what he told Abraham. He was El Elyon, the destroyer. I'm trying to tell you, Asherah is Yahweh. Yahweh's original name was Enlil. And then he became known as other things throughout time. By the time, like I said, you got to remember, when we get to the biblical story, the Jews and all of that only started worshiping Yahweh about 2,500 years ago. Okay. But for the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years that they was here before they got down to the Israelite pantheon, Yahweh been known, Enlil been known by a whole bunch of other names. Like I said, he was Enlil, he's been Baal, he's been Beelzebub, Odin, Zeus, Ioannis, Yaldabaoth. He's been known by a lot of different names because he's been on this planet since the very beginning. The father of Yahweh in the Canaanite pantheon, I don't know about the Canaanite pantheon, but the father of Yahweh is Anu. He's on Nibiru. When they stepped off the spaceship, Enki and Enlil and Ninmah and Thoth, which are Enki and Enlil are brothers. Ninmah is their sister, same father, different mothers. All three of them got different mothers. Daddy was a hoe. Okay. That's the way they get down on Nibiru. Thoth is Enki's son. Marduk was Enki's son. And Asherah, like I said, was Enlil's wife. Damkina was Asherah was Enlil's wife. Damkina was Enki's wife. Her other name was Ninki. And Asherah's other name was Ninlil, because that's the way they did that on Nibiru too. Damkina keeps a very, very low profile. She was the one that gave birth to Eve. Isis gave birth to Adam, but after that, you don't really hear very much from Damkina. Now, she probably was worshipped at some point, but yeah. Yep, Yahweh was married. He was married to Ninlil or Ninlil, who, like I said, later became Asherah. Hey, Butterfly Babe, how are you? Oh yeah, y'all, light bulb guys. That's what I'm saying. He's been raising a bunch of hell and confusion, but according to the scriptures, he is the Satan of his title when he actually got here. When they got here, Enki's title was Lord of the Waters and Ea of the Abzu. Enlil's titles were Lord of the Command and Satan of the Eden. And that's the part that religionists don't know and will not accept and understand, because over the years, Yahweh just wanted to brush that part under the rug. He got so mad about Enki telling Eve the truth that he painted his brother as this evil serpent devil thing all the time. He's the actual Satan of the Bible. Jehovah, Yahweh, Enlil is Satan the devil. And Yeshua tried to tell the Jews that that's what they killed him for. Hey, SRB. Oh, they can watch on because SRP, they're gonna keep watching, but I'm not lying, so they can get as mad as they want because I'm not lying. And they did unalive Yeshua, but guess what? It's so many of us that's saying the same thing because I'm not the only one that understands this and is speaking on it. Paul Wallace is talking about it. Mauro Bellino is talking about it. Billy Carson is talking about it. Anunnaki Ancient Astronaut Archive, Ancient Astronaut Archive talk about it. Anunnaki Ancient Mystery talks about it. Astro Legends TV talk about it. Myth Visions, well, Myth Visions, I don't. Some of their stuff don't blend, but there's a lot of people beginning to talk about this. I'm not just out here like the Lone Ranger talking about something that's up off the top of my head. No. Lucifer is not what people think that they. SRP, we don't entertain foolishness here. We on some serious stuff. And honestly, if you talking about Yahweh being a pro at Fortnite, if you actually talking about the real Mr. Beast, I hope he is watching. Because somewhere down the line, I have a big, big, big project that my soul tribe would like to do that's going to benefit a whole lot of people. And Mr. Beast certainly has the kind of money that I need to hook up with. I'm hoping that Mr. Beast at some point starts watching me and likes what I'm talking about and wants to sponsor me and work with me. I welcome Mr. Beast to come here and listen to what I got to say. So you ain't saying nothing. If you know him, please send him a link to my channel. Yvonne, Lucifer is not what people think he is. Saklos, okay, now you starting to get off into the Gnostic stuff, honey. I don't go there very much because if somebody doesn't have a very strong foundation within the scriptures, they're certainly not going to understand the Gnostic text. We could spend the next 5 years trying to help them understand, going through Saklos and Yaldabaoth and all of that. Yes, Yahweh is Yaldabaoth in the Gnostic text, but the Gnostic texts still also kind of point back, have a feel of religiosity to them that's completely extra, that's unnecessary at this point. If we can go all the way back to the beginning, if you can go to the root of the tree, why do you need to keep plucking the branches? Yahweh took me back to the root of the tree with the Anunnaki story. So I don't mess around a lot with the Gnostic stuff just to keep it simple here for the folks that are trying to learn. We got 44 people in the room. I would really appreciate it if you do me a solid and help get these likes up, please. Arnaldus, we're talking here. This is what my channel is about. I am an Anunnaki Oracle Priestess. Yahweh, no, he ain't. Yahweh is kind of sort of my nemesis to a degree, but I am actually here continuing Yeshua's message, what he was trying to show people when he was on earth. I go into the scriptures, but I look at them from an eye of clearer understanding from the real translations. I've gone into the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I look into, we are in the process of going through Sitchin's work. We've already gone through the Lost Book of Enki, which was his flagship translation, if you will. That was the text that he translated from the Anunnaki text. But then even after that, he spent the rest of his life writing about the Anunnaki situation and the surrounding text and all that other stuff. He wrote like 14, 15 books, and I have all of them. And we're starting to go through the 12th planet next week. We had started, but then right now I had to stop a little bit and go into the book of Enoch because that's what Spirit told me to do. But we'll be getting back on the 12th planet soon. You said if El Elyon is Yahweh, why use Jesus? Why can Jesus only be from the temple of Melchizedek, priest of El? Not again. There's a lot of confusion about the order of Melchizedek, but El ties back to Yahweh too. Melchizedek is a whole different, Melchizedek, however you want to pronounce it. That's a whole different ball game, and you trying to take these people somewhere they're not ready to go. That's one of the reasons I don't even go there. I'm not here to sit here and argue Christianity to that extent, nitpicking, because there's a lot of stuff they put in Christianity that doesn't track. They tried to tell us that the reason that they had to put Genesis and all of that in there, is because they're tracking the lineage of David and hence the lineage of Yeshua. And to some degree, that may be true, but that is not why Genesis was included. Genesis is the genes of Isis. The Anunnaki were very careful record keepers, and they were recording the results of the Adamu breeding project. Chapter 5, all of the people that are listed in Genesis chapter 5, Kenan and Methuselah and all of them, are also mentioned in the Lost Book of Enki as Anunnaki hybrids. Enki got down like that. Yahweh hated humans. Enlil, he hated humans. He did not mate with any humans at all, as far as anything I've seen in any of the older texts. But Yahweh deliberately made it with several humans because the Adamu line was devolving rapidly and he saw it. So he went out there and made it with Dawn and Dusk, and Adapa and Titi were born, which were the first civilized humans, to shore up the bloodline. He had other ones too. Noah, Ziazudra, was one of Enki's children. Adapa was one of Enki's children. And Adapa's son, Andutsar, is the scribe who actually wrote the Lost Book of Enki. Jay, I'm not here discussing fast food. Neither one of them. Anything with a drive-through window hanging off of it is not something we should be eating. Not really. Now, you're gonna do what you want to do, but if you want to be enlightened, you got to stop eating poison. I'm in that same boat. Look at me. That's part of the reason why my body has gotten so sensitive to the chemicals and poisonings around that I'm having to let go of that. So I don't have a preference for either one of them. Hey, JCast Properties. Exactly. They are worshiping the demi. That's his other thing. Yaldabaoth is the demiurge, Satan the devil. And they have no idea, even though Yeshua told them in John chapter 8, you don't know my father. You worshiping your father, the devil. He is a liar and the father of a lie. He don't speak the truth because he don't have no truth in him. He said that right there in the Gospel of John. And they hated him so much for saying that they unalived him for it. Yeah. Thank you, Goku. I can say I'm trying to. No, baby, you speak, Yvonne. You speak in the very elementary church claptrap that they feed you. God did not create Adam from the dust of the ground and breathe life into him and created Eve from one of the ribs. Go read the Lost Book of Enki. If you don't want to read it yourself, there's a narration. I've read the entire book. I got a playlist here on the channel, or you can go watch Astro Legends TV and they'll tell you where we get that dust of the ground story from. When they first came here, Enki was the primary geneticist on the project. Ninmah, his sister, was second. Thoth was third. When they were trying to create the Adamu, they were hybridizing a hominid that they already found here. And they were blending their Anunnaki DNA with a hybrid they already found here. But they could not get the zygote to germinate using the crystal petri dishes from Nibiru. She thought because it's a carbon-based life form, blah, blah, blah. Ninmah got the idea to fashion petri dishes made from clay from earth. And that allowed the zygote to germinate. And once the zygote germinated, it was artificially inseminated into her womb, and she carried the Adamu to term. They simplified that story for limited intelligence humans, and the church just done ran with it and keep feeding us that lie. But the Anunnaki texts give us more scientific information about how the Elohim made the Adamu, and it ain't got nothing to do with him coming from the dust of the ground and breathing life into him and all of that stuff. And the story about the rib, oh, I'm glad you subscribed, Osas. The story about the rib came along because even once Adam and Eve were born, they were still sterile. Now, Enki and Thoth loved that whole gene thing. They had a whole laboratory in the Abzu that they call the House of Life. Even after Adam and Eve were created, they still continue to do genetic experimentation. But Thoth had been studying their genetic patterning, their DNA. And once they discovered that Adam and Eve were mating, but they were not conceiving, he said, I think I know how to fix this. And he pushed everybody else out the laboratory and put Adam and Eve and Enki and Ninmah, put them all to sleep, and took DNA from Enki and inserted it in Adam's side. That's where we get the rib story. Then they took DNA from Ninmah, Isis, and put it in Eve's side. And that additional bolus of Anunnaki DNA allowed Adam and Eve to become fertile, and they became the first breeding pair of Homo sapiens sapiens, which makes a whole lot more sense than the elementary school, the church Sunday school version that they try to give you. Honest, that's what I said, light bulb, just be careful. And again, there is a story floating around that Yahweh in Enlil planned to unalive Asherah, so she may actually be helping you, because again, they all came from the same planet. It's just Marduk and Yahweh that got too big for their britches and really wanted to edge everybody else out, and they don't care who they destroy to do it, even up to and including their fathers and brothers and cousins and apparently even spouses. Oh, okay. Well, bro, 100. If Mr. Beast worships Molech, then he can stay on where he at, because that's a Marduk issue. I don't need his money that bad. There's too many other people on the planet that actually have some money. Moloch basically traces back to Marduk. And there's some people that say he ain't even still alive. They say that he's buried over in the Mayan and Incan land somewhere. But however that goes, I don't, if he's really, really on that team Yahweh time or whatever, don't send him my way. It's too many other people out here with money and means and all of that. I don't have to deal with him. No, Stacy. Good evening to you, and welcome to the chat. No, Stacy, I read more of the Old Testament than I do the New Testament, because there is still good information in there, especially, like I said, when I was trying to get to know the nature of Yahweh. Those stories are very helpful. Now, they're disgusting. When you start reading through the Bible and really see all of the bullshit that Yahweh did, and the preachers and stuff teach it to us like it's a good thing, all of these tests of faith that he put all of these people under, but it lets you know the real nature of Yahweh. Now, the New Testament, on the other hand, I don't rock with it too much. The Gospel of John and Revelation is pretty much the only two books in the New Testament that I really fool with. Occasionally, I'll go and reference a scripture or two, but the main reason I don't mess with the New Testament is because 90% of it was written by Paul, and he is absolutely, in my opinion, the Antichrist. Yeshua said that after they unalived him, that a great deceiver would come along and would lead humanity lost. And what did Paul do? 100 years after Yeshua was gone off this earth, he came up and wrote that lie, claiming that he was an appointed apostle. He met up on the road to Damascus with Yeshua. He ain't never laid eyes on Yeshua, and he was a bitter hater of the Jews, hated everything Yeshua stood for. But when it was time to write this religion, he comes in as an interloper, and he did several things that let me know that he was not necessarily trying to do humanity a solid. The main thing he did, most of the New Testament are letters to the various congregations that used to follow Yeshua. And in those letters, if you go back and read them, he's basically saying, he don't say he's self-appointed, but I'm the apostle, and forget what Yeshua said. I'm here to let you know it's a new sheriff in town, and this is the way we're going to do it. Y'all ain't shit. This is the way we're moving forward. Forget what you heard. It's going to be this way now, and we're going to roll this thing out, and y'all are going to worship Jehovah. Yeshua wasn't telling nobody to worship Yahweh or Jehovah. Yahweh is Jehovah. And he was steadily, for 3 straight years, he told the Jews that they were worshiping their father, the devil. by worshiping Yahweh. He said, my Father is not from here. My Father, like I said, you don't know my Father. The one that sent me is not like this one that y'all are worshiping. And they unalived him, and in the greatest hypocrisy and the greatest flim-flamming and bamboozling that's ever been done to humanity, they killed that man and then turned around and knit him in the middle of their lie so that they could promote Yahweh worship out to the rest of the world. When the Jews was worshiping him, that was in a little bitty pocket. He was a nomadic storm god in a very centralized location up until that point. When Constantine came along and wanted to unify his kingdom, he created this religion with all kinds of beliefs from all sorts of little religions all around, and put all of that stuff, mashed that up into that amalgamated religion. And then they put the Jesus story in the middle of it to make themselves basically sound good. But the same people that killed Yeshua is the ones that turned around and wrote Christianity and then convinced the world that it was a good thing. It was necessary for them to kill him because to buy back our worthlessness because of our blood. So they needed this blood sacrifice to buy back our sinful nature. What kind of God makes a product? You make a faulty product and you let it rock out for thousands of years, and then in order to correct your faulty product, you demand the blood sacrifice of your son? What kind of sense do that even make? But that's what they done convinced humans of, and we so damn stupid we went for it because Abraham went for it, and then later on Moses went for it. A criminal, a liar, and a criminal. Abraham was a liar, and Moses was a murderer. And because they chose to serve Yahweh, now 75% of the planet is serving Yahweh because they chose that. Choose this day whom you'll serve. As for me and my household, we'll serve Yahweh. That's what Joshua said. Of course, yes, honey. Now, if you can't count on nothing else, Sama, Farapper, whoever you are, Yeshua does love us. Once he earned his eternal life, he chose to continue to come back. He said he would not leave us as orphans, that he would come back and send Holy Spirit as a helper to straighten out, to help enlighten us and set the record straight. Yeshua absolutely loves us. He is an ascended master, and he is still very much amongst the realms. No, light bulb. I'm not saying. I don't feel like you argue. I know I done got way behind in the chat. Hold on a second. I don't feel like you're arguing. I just get passionate about this when I'm talking about it. I'm sorry if you feel like I was arguing with you. I'm not arguing with anyone at all. And if it's too deep for you, honey, that's why I said go back and look at the Lost Book of Enki. Again, Aaron, it doesn't matter. You can sit there. And again, this is where people start trying to split hairs and get into racism and tribalism. It honestly doesn't matter because there were a whole bunch of other Elohim on the planet. Christianity is the ones that convince us we got to find the right one because that's the lie Yahweh said. He's a jealous God, and he said you'll have no other gods before me. Doesn't mean there weren't other gods there. He just didn't want nobody else looking at any of the other of them. So he put this issue of you got to get it right, and therefore I'm the only game in town. And Christians still have that tendency. It's in our programming to try to make everybody else be wrong. But here's the thing. Hey, Deborah Donovan, how are you? I'm wearing Porvi. I'm wearing a bindi because in the Hindu pantheon, Lord Shiva is Enki, and Enki is one of my main guides. So even though I'm not a practicing Hindu, I can wear a bindi and cover my third eye if I want to, because I definitely rock with Shiva. Hey, Tashana, and thank you so much. Oh, if they on that Hebrew Israelite mess, even I say it doesn't even matter. It's not about race. If you're on this planet with enough intelligence to read language off of a page, you have Anunnaki blood in you. Your skin color, your tribe, it does not matter. That whole Egypt Israelite nonsense, that's some Yahweh bullshit. And they still keep hollering about they so supreme because Yahweh promised them he kept promising them the promised land, but he never gave it to them. He's a liar. He promised it to Abraham and didn't give it to him. 500 years later, he promised it to the nation of Israel and coming out of Egypt and still didn't give it to him. It was full of Nephilim. Y'all need to get over that mess. You can't truly be spiritual and still hung up on racialism and tribalism. It's not going to work. That's not real spirituality. No, the New Testament is not for the chosen one, Stacy. The New Testament is for people, like I said, the New Testament was designed to blind humanity and have them stuck in the Yahweh lie. The Jews worshipped Enlil as Yahweh. They hated Yeshua for telling the truth. They hated him telling the truth so much because he told them, you do not know my Father. This cat you worshiping, this Yahweh, this is the devil. And he is. He is Satan of the Eden. When he tried to tell the people that, they were so angry about that they had him unalive. They had him killed. And then 300 years after they killed him, the same people that killed him turned around and made a religion to be the vehicle to push Yahwism out into the rest of the world. Like I said, the Jews had been over in one spot worshiping Yahweh. But Catholicism wanted to push Yahwism out into the world. So they remixed it and started calling him Jehovah and put Yeshua right smack dab in the middle of this story as this mascot and told this lie that he was on Team Yahweh, that he's Yahweh's son. But that's not what the scriptures indicate. If you understand that, again, there was more than one Elohim there, he was never on Team Yahweh. He'd been Team Enki from day one. And in John, even in Matthew, when Yeshua got baptized, even before then, I'm going to give you another hint that'll let you know. Hold on a second. I want to catch up on these notes. Oh, the devil absolutely does exist, Aaron. May not be in the way you think. Now, the Christians, they did some other stuff with the creation, but no, Yahweh is the devil, and Yeshua said so. Hey, Rena C., greetings. That's not true, Aaron. The Anunnaki texts say that Enlil's title was Satan of the Eden. The Gnostic texts tell you he is the demiurge, Yaldabaoth, a dragon. So you need to go and look. Plenty of ancient religions do speak of a devil. Whoa. But hold on, my thing scrolled the wrong way. I'm not sure how that ties in. Some people have RH negative. They try to make more of that. Some people have it. Some people don't. I don't think, from a spiritual aspect, I really don't think it means what people think it means. People try to grasp on to all sorts of things to try to make themselves be special. But the idea of our specialness, if you will, at this point in time is whether or not our consciousness can expand, whether we can awaken here at the doorway of the age of Aquarius. Has nothing to do with what tribe we're in or the skin color we got or none of the rest of that. Do we have enough Anunnaki blood in us to awaken, turn off our worship gene and accept the truth, and then turn our attention away from the dragon, away from the devil, towards Lord Enki? You said, if we're hybrids, which you believe we are, why does our planet sustain food and grow? Because they spent thousands of years on here, Mehul. Agriculture was given to us by Lord Enki. A lot of the grains and things that we sustain, millet and spelt and barley and all of that, some of that stuff was hybridized and domesticated out of the Near East, where Lord Enki and all of them still had their laboratories and everything set up. They didn't just plunk down here and was off and gone. They were here for hundreds of thousands of years. It wasn't, that's why I say the Bible story don't give you the whole story. Sheep sheep came from Nibiru and was brought here as a domesticated crop for us to, because they were overfishing and over hunting the natural wildlife that was here, because at one time they had over 600 Anunnaki here working the gold project. And as humanity started expanding, humans started populating the earth too. It was just taxing the wildlife that was here, and they actually brought sheep from Nibiru to domesticate and bring here. That's why this planet sustains and grows food for us perfectly. Hey, Glove 300, and you're so very welcome. Paul didn't ruin everything. He helped, but he wasn't in it by himself. He was just part of the machine. Hey, Valerio, how are you? Glad to have you back. Hey, Foon. You said, yeah, oh yeah, Stacy, I save every live stream. Absolutely. I'm not trying to gatekeep here, and I don't edit stuff out. The good, the bad, the ugly. That's why I'll read when I start answering questions. I try to read them so that if anybody's watching the replay, they're not just flying blind on what I'm talking about. I'll stop and kind of read through everything and answer one question at a time, because yeah. He said God sent himself to die for himself in the name. Don't that sound foolish when you really start waking up and think about it? It sounds silly as hell. But they got us so brainwashed that we've accepted that we've been asleep. And it's just time to wake up. And they tell all the stories of the bloodlines, but the Anunnaki did pay a lot of attention to the bloodlines story time. They did. But again, whether or not the bloodlines listed in Genesis through Deuteronomy are truly leading to Yeshua or not, who knows? And in a way it's material, in a way it's kind of not. But they very well could be, only because, again, Yahweh tells the story that he's the be all, end all, the Alpha, the Omega, and all the rest of that. But he was not the one that was managing the genetic process. That was Lord Enki and Ninmah and Thoth. So if anybody would know the bloodlines that they wanted to track down to send Enki's son back into the world amongst the Jews through, if they pick the line, David or whomever, because again, a lot of them bloodlines is listed in Genesis are shored up with Enki's blood. Papa was a rolling stone, and he was not shoring up the bloodline in the laboratory. He was getting it in, okay? Because, and I'm sure he was looking at certain females as to characteristics and things like. He was a geneticist. That was his shit. That's what he did. Him and Thoth. So it's very likely that some of the stuff that we track as far as the bloodline in the Pentateuch could be actually pointing to the lineage of Yeshua. But they still don't, Christianity doesn't allow for the fact of who Yeshua truly is. They try to paint him as the son of Yahweh, and he's not. He's the son of Enki. If you read through them scriptures, and he tell you that. If you really pay attention, like I said, that lady that pointed out Revelation 3:12 the other day, I could not thank her enough, because I had forgotten about that verse. But it genuinely doubles down on the fact that the Elohim that Yeshua is pointing to and talking about as his father through this whole book is not Yahweh, is Enki. Hey, Charles Gassy, Jesse, how are you? He did go to India. He absolutely did go to India. Now, as far as the line of descendants, that Yeshua got bloodline all over this planet. I'm part of it. Many of us are descendants of his. They tried to tell us that he was a virgin and he left off of this planet without a family. They did not unalive him at the so-called crucifixion. Some folks say he lived to the age of 48. Some say he lived to the age of 80. But for sure, he does have descendants. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if he had descendants coming out of India, because when things got too hot after the so-called crucifixion, he went back through the Silk Road. There is a shrine, I think it's in Turkey. where Mother Mary supposedly is buried because she passed somewhere along the Silk Road. Yeah. The rest of the world, that's why I never could understand why Christianity claimed they don't know what he was doing for 18 whole years. He was so much pressure on the priests and stuff that they wanted him out of Jerusalem at the age of 12, and he left and was gone for 18 years, and they didn't say one word about where he was at and what he was doing in the Bible. But the eastern part of the world knew what he was. He went into his father's house. The eastern part into the Asiatic countries, that's Inky's territory, the land of Buddhism, Jainism, Taoism, Hinduism. That was Inky's little corner of the world. So while Yahweh was busy taking over the rest, that part of the world was very much Yeshua's father's house. Hey, Gordon Corral, how are you? I'm not here to argue with you, Todd Miller. If you can stay here and learn, you're welcome to stay. I have read the New Testament and you ain't heard what I said. If you want to keep listening to the Antichrist, you go right ahead, but we don't do that here. And if you talk about it, if you spam enough the comments long enough, one of the mods will get rid of you because they don't want to hear that. Hey, Frank Rice. I don't tell my mods what to do and whatever, but it's their room too. And if somebody's detracting from what we're talking about here, they'll just go ahead and get rid of you. Again, don't come in here being offended because I'm telling you something different than the church has told you. I'm here at Yeshua's behest to tell people something different than the church is going to tell you, because the church ain't going to tell you the whole truth, boo. And I don't know why people think that they got the whole truth and nothing but the truth from the church when the church has been tied up with the governments, and the governments ain't told nobody the truth for the last 2,000 years. Media don't tell you the truth. The politicians don't tell you the truth. The governments don't tell you the truth. The medical systems don't tell you all of the truth. They won't even allow scientists to tell you all the truth. How many times we've been hearing this lie about weather balloons for the last 70 years? Every time they see a UFO, it's a weather balloon because the government won't allow the truth to come out. So being as how religion and government been strange bedfellows for 2,000 or 3,000 years now, what really makes you think you getting the unadulterated truth out of any of these modern day religions? And they are very modern day. None of them go back more than 2,500 years. And the Christian religion only goes back 1,700 years. And this book only go back 500 years. So it's very naive to think that you got all of the truth in here. Holly Ptolomeo, if you stay around long enough, you'll find out what I believe, but I can't keep giving a mission. I don't have a set mission statement. I've been talking about this stuff since like last October on this channel, the things that I believe. But I do believe that Yeshua is the son of Lord Enki, not Enlil, Yahweh. And Yahweh, according to the Gnostic texts and the Anunnaki texts and all the rest of them texts, if you trace back the etymology of those religions through the various pantheons he's been in, Yahweh is the devil, just like Yeshua said he was. Is the Book of Enoch a good book to read? I'm actually reading it on the channel now. I've got the first 3 parts in, and I'm going to continue to read them, Stacy. And it's a good book to read if you have a good understanding of the rest of the Bible. It's an excellent book to read. It's a little bit scary if you don't. If you still believe in the hellfire and the damnation and all that other crap that Christianity teaches you, the Book of Enoch will scare the shit out of you. But if you actually understand what you're reading when you read the Book of Enoch, it's fine. And that's why I'm going through it now and talking about it, because it has shown me a few things that confirmed things that I knew and understood. For example, that identity, the separation of who Enlil is versus who Enki is as they show up in the scriptures, because they don't show up by name as Enlil and Enki in the Bible. But if you understand that in the Hebrew translation, Elohim does not mean God, like they done lied to us and told us. It means it means powerful ones in the plural, and it's referring to the Anunnaki. It was more than one of them. Genesis chapter 1:1, where it says, in the beginning, God made the heavens and the earth. That's talking about the creator of all, the one who actually created this planet and the trees and the oceans and the fish and all of that stuff. By the time you get down to around verse 25, where it says, let us make man in our image, from that point on in the Bible, it's not talking about the creator of all, the Alpha and the Omega. That Alpha Omega shit is a lie that Yahweh told. It's speaking of the Elohim, the Anunnaki, those to whom earth from heaven came, but they didn't come from heaven like the Sky Daddy lied at the church tells you. They came from the planet Nibiru, and Enki was willing to tell the truth about that. The Gnostic text exposing scripture. Gnosticism, gnosis means knowledge, and there is a mystical school that is older than Christianity that tried to preserve a lot of stuff. It's kind of a mashup between a lot of the ancient mystery schools and Kabbalism and whatnot, but they went back further than before Christianity, and it is a little confusing for those who may not be super familiar with the scriptures, because they tell the story of the unbegotten, or the one, the creator of all, who divided itself unto itself to create divine masculine and feminine. And as it began to create, it created the aeons. Sophia, Barbelo, I forgot the names of the first 4 aeons, and then the aeons began to create. Well, Barbelo got a little ahead of herself according to the Gnostic story, and she started creating on her own without divine direction, and some of her creations got a little out of hand. So she actually created the Sophia energy, from which came Christ, or Adam of light. That's the energy of the Christos, Christ. He's said to be the first Adam. That's where that story comes from the Gnostic text. But she also, the spinoff of that good creation was a dark creation called Yaldabaoth. And he separated himself to another realm and started buying his own bullshit. And he literally is the demiurge, a dragon. How much EBT do you get? I ain't got EBT in so damn long, I couldn't even tell you what an EBT card looked like. What is you talking about, Casper Inky Magoo? That's something foolish. You own some real ignorant stuff. I'm not even addressing you no more unless you can come in here and talk about like somebody with some sense. And that would be a very hateful thing anyway. If someone has a financial need on this planet where they need assistance, there's no shame in having assistance so that they can survive. Okay, cool, Stacy. And honestly, I would tell anybody, if you really don't understand where we're at, because it can get trying to keep going back and back and back. But eventually, if you listen to a few of them, you'll kind of understand what I believe, where we go. Because we do kind of sort of talk about the same things, kind of, but you'll get it. Hey, Langston Robbins, how are you? Hey, Holly Ptolomeo, how are you? I don't even remember you leaving, but hey, welcome back. Sorry, my roommate. He had that stuff going on. I honestly do not remember you leaving the house. Oh well, I'm sorry. Mm-mm. I heard you walking about, but I didn't hear you leave. Like I said, maybe I was too much in my conversation. I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Sam Rob, again, yes, Yeshua is the way and the truth and the light, but not the way Christianity displays that for. If y'all say a lot of pat phrases that the pastor done told you to say, but you have no idea what it actually means. And the reason I know you don't know is because you don't even know who Yeshua actually is. He's not the only one that said that. Thoth said it too. In fact of the matter, let me do this. I want to, hold on a second. Let me Trying to find a compendium here. Bear with me a second, y'all. I'm trying to find a book. Ay, ay, ay. That's not the book I was trying to find, though. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh. Okay, sorry. Hey, Princess AG, how are you? I'm trying to get in here. Hey, Miss Yates, how are you? Miss Amanda? Welcome, welcome. Okay, wait a minute. I'm trying to find this particular. You say you thought that the Gnostic texts were all about how the body is evil and the spirit is good. Again, I don't go deep into the Gnostic text because so I don't know what the entire thought of Gnosticism is. When Yeshua took me back to the Anunnaki text, that was enough for me. Emmanuel, then you need to, I don't know what to tell you because I don't, if you need a consultation, you can email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com. I don't know what kind of spiritual assistance you're talking about, but if it's anything to do with any kind of spell work, I can't help you with that. I don't do spell work. Awesome. 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 Yeah. Email me and we can talk in WhatsApp or whatnot if you want to later. I have not done a collective reading recently, Duncan, but I will. In fact, anybody that's on here now, they finally gave me the green light to go live stream on the other channel, Anunnaki Oracle Priestess. I will be going live probably tomorrow morning, and I'll be doing some like mini readings, free mini readings for the channel for a few days. I'm not gonna keep doing that for free, but I will. I will probably still do a collective reading here like once a week, but most of the tarot that I'll be doing will be on Anunnaki Oracle Priestess from now on. So if you need tarot guidance, Emmanuel, you can jump on tomorrow morning. I'm in the Eastern time zone. I don't know what country or time zone you're in. If you can get back on tomorrow and get in, catch me before I have to close the list, I might be able to look at something there for you. Other than that, you can email me. Duncan, I'm going to try to be on by 10 a.m. Eastern. Hopefully that'll be good. No, I haven't. Exposing scripture. What are you talking about? Biblical exposition. Is that a channel here? Depending on the flavor of it, if it's a Christian focusing, one of them hooping and yelling, evangelistic type scenarios, I won't mess with it. If it's straight up knowledge, I'll write it down and I'll go check it out for sure. Biblical exposition. But for real, I don't really need to keep digging around in the scriptures. I dig some and where Yeshua shows me to go, I will. But I'm not continuing to try to prove the scriptures because I already know they're not really what people think they are. If they try to continue to read the Bible from the Christian perspective, they will stay lost. So I don't need nobody to continue to waterboard me with the Christian perspective. I've been reading the scriptures from the Christian perspective for 54 years now. It's time to look at it a little differently. That's my point. I'm not able to type in here and put the link on the screen, Reach for the Sky, but if you want to go, if you go to the home screen of this channel and scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the icon for that channel. You can tap it and it'll take you to the other channel. The channel name is Anunnaki Oracle Priestess. So you can either get, after this live stream, you can get it here on this channel, or you can put it in the search bar and it will come up. And definitely you want to sign up for notifications, because every time I go live for free tarot readings, the list fills super quick. Again, well, we can talk about that whole story later, because I am who I am. That is a very narcissistic trait that Yahweh was displaying. He was mad as hell that Enki had told Eve the truth. He already kind of sort of knew who had told her, but he was mad that she knew the truth. So he had her and Adam thrown out the garden and didn't care if they died or not. Enlil does not love humanity. He threw them out knowing that they didn't have the means to fend for themselves. They wasn't out there entirely alone. There was other people in the breeding program. Adam and Eve were kept in the Garden of Eden because it was said, because they were the first breeding pair, that they would not have to work in the mines. They would have a very short, cushy life, because that they shortened the evolutionary timeline for a species on this planet. They shortened our timeline by over 1 million years. We were something new unto the cosmos. No other beings, as far as they knew, had ever attempted to mess with God's creation by doing that. There were people pulling up from Nibiru just to see Adam and Eve. It was kind of a big deal. They got here and found Australopithecus or something, and then jumped all the way up to Homo sapiens sapiens. That was a big deal. And Yahweh insisted that we would never be told that they're not gods. And then Enki felt bad about that and told the truth. And yeah, that part. Oh, thank you, Niana. Yeah, let them know. Let them know. And again, I can't even take credit for that. I don't have. I sit down and talk to my tarot guides and Yeshua and Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, and what come out, come out. But hey, if you need some tarot guidance, you're welcome to come. Oh, well, if that's what you call it, then that's basically, I do read in context. But again, I also understand that the entire context of the scriptures has been taken out of context by religion, because these books, we are told that this is the inspired word of God, beneficial for teaching, reproving, and setting things straight. No, it's not. It's Anunnaki writings that was arranged in a certain way to create a narrative that was pleasing to Constantine, who was not a follower of Yeshua. He was a sun worshiper who just wanted peace in his kingdom. So he mashed up a whole bunch of pagan religions to create a religion that could cause peace and unity for tax purposes, governance purposes, and everything else in his kingdom. And people loved the Yeshua story, so they made that central here. But that's one of the reasons why all of the pagan holidays, all the Christian holidays are pagan holidays, because they absorbed enough of other pagan religions to satisfy everybody and put the maximum number of butts in one central section of seats. That's the context of the scriptures, and most people don't understand that. Yeah, Butterfly Babe, if you're able to get online at some time. Lewis, priestess is not an oxymoron. Enki actually referred to, they had priest kings back in the day, and they referred to oracle priests. And as a clairaudient representative of Yahweh and not Yahweh, good Lord, of Enki and Yeshua, I am an oracle priestess. I don't have to worship, but I am in service to them because I am doing the work that they've conscripted me to do. It's not the type of worship that Christianity outlines, but that's why I called myself an Anunnaki Oracle priestess, because that is what I'm doing. I am an oracle, and I am an oracle for the Anunnaki. So you can back that, Miss Yates. I'm the real deal. Appreciate you. And Lewis, again, I'm not Christian, so you don't come in here quoting Corinthians. Paul is the Antichrist, so he can't tell me shit, and neither can you, Lewis. But you got that out of context, Lewis. It's the women should remain silent in the church. They're not permitted to speak. And again, that's the most misogynistic nonsense ever. But under Christianity, Lewis, women could not teach in the synagogue or preach in the congregations if there were other spiritually qualified people in this group. Since y'all are asking me questions, there ain't nobody else in this particular group that's spiritually qualified to teach what I'm teaching. So it's entirely appropriate for me to teach it. And it said that you could only teach in the congregation if there were no other spiritually qualified people and if your husband were not present. If your husband was present, you had to have your head covered. Well, oops, my head is covered anyway, Lewis. And I'm not in a church, Lewis. I'm teaching, and I'm not in a church, and I'm not Christian. So don't quote that to me. How did I come to understand that the Bible is from the Anunnaki? Because Yeshua had introduced me, had literally led me to the Lost Book of Enki. I went online, and I've told the story before, and I don't mind. I set out years ago. I can remember prayerfully, literally in my prayer closet. I was in my closet as a teenager on my knees, sobbing, crying. I wanted to know the nature of God. I was raised to believe that Jehovah God is the only true God, Alpha, Omega, invisible sky daddy, all of it. I was raised in an extremely devout household. I was taught to read from the age of 3 from the Bible with a belt. Okay, I literally got the scriptures beaten into me. Now that sounds mean and cruel. Don't cry for me, Argentina, because I'm grateful for that biblical foundation, because later on, when I was ready to receive these things, I have a very thorough background of having read the scriptures multiple times, all day, every day, reading aloud, memorizing the scriptures, Bible study on Monday, Bible study on Thursday, reading aloud for my parents, going to the conventions. I have been neck deep in the Bible from the Christian perspective my whole life, okay? Now, one of the things I reached when I got grown, I did reach the end of the road with one particular organization and literally lost contact with my entire family for it. They still alive, but they have nothing to do with me because I don't follow their religion. Hey, Unique, what's up, baby? Glad to have you here. But even then, when I fell out with that religion, I thought maybe they just got it wrong. So I was going to go out there and find out which one of the sects of Christianity got it right. Now, little did I know, it's 45,000 different denominations of Christianity. That should tell y'all something there. Y'all swear up and down Christianity is the only right religion, but you can't even decide amongst yourselves what's right. 45,000 denominations of Christianity and several dozen denominations of Judaism, several dozen denominations of Islam. None of them can figure out what's right. But anyway, you want to know how I got back to... Wait a minute. Yeah, Adam and Eve were thrown out of Eden. No. Adam and Eve were both thrown out. But anyway, I'll get back there. Just hold on. I am who I am. You're not gonna come. If somebody asks me a question, if you're willing to listen long enough for me to get there, we'll get there. But I can't just keep jumping around and because people keep interrupting the conversation by typing other stuff in there. And I'll let you know how I know it was Jesus that led me there too. I surely will. But when I asked to understand, I examined several different sects of Christianity. I've been baptized in a couple of them. I was baptized as a Jehovah's Witness and as a Baptist at Liberty Baptist Church in Virginia. But as I continued to study, and eventually I kind of got where I'm like, wait a minute, this stuff still isn't quite. And when I got away from the scripture so much and started a serious meditative practice, I didn't expect to be led back to the scriptures. I genuinely did not. I started meditating consistently at the end of 2016. By 2017 in the spring, I was telling my friends and stuff that I knew some kind of transformation was happening. I didn't know what was happening, but something was happening. By 2018, I understood that I was being led on the path of the initiate, and I started following my intuition. I started kind of noticing. I went through all the angel numbers to the point where I was so sick to death that I was like, look already with the angel numbers. And then I started with song synchronicities and being led to information in YouTube and online and other websites and stuff. And for me, once I would see something in meditation, I was being shown like cosmic concepts. Truthfully, some of the Gnostic concepts I was being shown, even though I had never read those materials and I didn't know what I was have like a real frame for it, but I would see something in meditation and I didn't know why it was true. I just felt like it was true because I understood that it wasn't a thought that I was thinking or had a real basis for. So I would just kind of lean into it and see how I felt about that. And every single time that happened, within a few days, a week at the most, I would be led to something. I'm going online and I started noticing that my algorithm was kind of sort of training itself differently. I'd look down my home page or my For You, and whatever really jumped off the page at me and really got my attention, I will go and look at it. And every single time, if I saw something in meditation, within less than a week's time, I would be led to an article or a podcast or a documentary or a book or something that gave me a further confirmation of what I had been shown in meditation, whether it was the scientific explanation or the spiritual explanation or the secular, something would give me further information, lead me to a book or something. So I started listening to a lot of stuff that way. That rocked on for a while. And then by the time we got to 2020, I really started, when the world shut down, I used that as my prime time. Instead of panicking and acting fool like everybody was out losing their minds, I happened to be in Sarasota as Spirit had kind of redirected me. I wound up in Sarasota about less than 1,000 feet from the Gulf of Mexico. While the world was shut down and going mad, I was out there every day, barefoot in the sun, meditating, breathing in that good ass prana off the ocean air, going to the sand and all the rest of that stuff. I spent hours every day in meditation, taking hours of salt baths every day. And the weirdest thing happened. Around midsummer, my clairaudience ramped up in a way. I was kind of sort of understanding a little bit of clairaudience, but I really started hearing things clairaudiently that I could not deny my clairaudience anymore. I was hearing things that I genuinely did not know. I had to stop and go look it up online to see if what I heard was true, and it would be. And then I start having physical occurrences, animals visiting me, weird stuff. I'm out there meditating, and all of a sudden it started raining on one side of the street and not the other. And I'm asking if this is the deity, make it stop. And it stopped raining in a couple of minutes, and all that kind of stuff happening to let me know I'm really having spiritual experiences. And once I understood that, that's the long way around, but you wanted to know, how did I know that Yeshua was messaging me? When I understood that my clairaudience was real, the first thing I asked for in prayer was for my spiritual gifts to be open further to me, and for any of the ascended masters that were willing to work with me to make themselves known to me. And the very next day, Yeshua, Saint Germain, and Thoth made themselves known to me. I was led to the I Am Discourses of Saint Germain. I was led to the Christ letters, to Anna, grandmother of Jesus. I had congregations of ibises gathered in my yard, letting me walk right up to them. All kinds of stuff like that happening. So I knew that I was being led in a certain place, and instead of running from it, I leaned into it. Shortly after that, I was led to the Elemental Grace Alliance, which was an offshoot of the Saint Germain Foundation. Website is still up, but they were doing an initiation group study class under Master Dwal Kul, and that took me back into a lot of the theology and theosophy of the early 20th century. There's information. These were lectures and things from Dwal Kul that came out of like the late 1920s, early 1930s. I went through that. It was like a 4-month program. And then after that, it just continued to expand and expand and expand. Now, back to the whole Anunnaki thing. Last summer, I started hearing obedience is better than sacrifice. And in meditation, and when I say I used to go out like every Sunday, I don't go to church, so I would go sit outside barefoot, and I have basically church outside, meditation, singing, doing my mantras and all the rest of that. Well, Yeshua started bringing something to mind as far as I kept hearing he was delivered up to the Romans. He was delivered up to the Romans. No, I wasn't concerned that it was a demon leading me astray, because the information that I was getting felt too good, and it was all of love and light. It was bringing me broader understanding. Why in the world ain't no demons gonna be bringing me to light? Yahweh brought me to hell and confusion for 3 dozen years or 3 decades. So again, you can sit there and say, wasn't I concerned that it was a demon? Why would I be concerned if it was a demon? If I'm telling you, again, just because you doubt my clairaudience don't mean that I'm supposed to doubt my clairaudience. That's where a lot of humans mess up. You allow the priest and the pastors to teach you something that goes against your own intuition because they done told you it's wicked and it's evil. Why would I put more faith in a stranger that I don't even know what they're doing? I don't know what they're doing at home. I don't know what their spirituality is like. I don't know what their faith is like. Why in the world would I have to believe them just because they went and put a backward collar around on their neck? They're just people. They don't know any better than you do. And the vast majority of people, especially in the United States, are not following even seminary trained pastors and preachers. They're just somebody that had a feeling in their heart and went and discovered how that preachers make a butt ton of money. So they went somewhere and joined a church. You've been flim-flammed and bamboozled, baby. But anyway, no, I'm not a fortune teller, Liam. I'm not. I'm really not. I don't. Again, you'll notice there are times people ask me for something off the cuff, and I'll tell them I'm not looking into that right now because I'm not a fortune teller. I'm clairaudiently linked with my guides, but if they don't bother to show me something, then I don't know what's going on with that. And yeah, you're not going to get the whole story from any one book, because this ain't one book. This is 66 different books written by about 40 different people. Why don't y'all understand that? This isn't one book. It wasn't written at one time. There's literally 100,000 years of history covered in this books right here, at least. Christianity lied to you and told you it was only 6,000 years because they want you to believe that this was written in chronological order. It is not. Do you not understand that between the time Abraham met Yahweh coming out of Ur, and the time that was in Genesis, that Abraham met Yahweh coming out of Ur. And by the time they get to Exodus, even where the nation of Israel is meeting Yahweh when he brings them out of Egypt, over 500 years had passed just between them two books. Yeah, honestly, the spiritual awakening is not always some. And see, I think we hear these people, these I don't want to say these people because I'm not trying to besmirch anybody's experience or their journey. Some people report an instant awakening and, oh, it's like this super enlightened thing that happens in one fell swoop overnight. Everybody's experience isn't like that. My awakening journey and ascension has been a 15-year process. Maybe because I was skeptical, maybe because of the programming that I had. I had to deprogram gradually or whatever because I was one of those that was indoctrinated into such a fear-based religion that I was afraid of getting it wrong and afraid of displeasing Yahweh. And oh my God, if I get it wrong, I'm gonna die. My children are gonna die. We're gonna be so all of that stuff. And it didn't have to be like that. No, Abraham is not my father. Exactly. No, 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 no. Because being called a Christian is a byword in the day of Paul. And I told you, I do believe I am who I am, that Paul is the Antichrist. There's nothing actually Christian about Christianity at all. It flies 100% in the face of everything that Yeshua was trying to teach the Jews, trying to pull them out of, and what they actually did to them. It is an absolute farce and a hypocrisy that they call that religion Christianity because there ain't nothing Christ-like about it. They kill each other, they kill other people, they're judgmental, they're violent, and they worship in Yahweh when Yeshua told the Jews that Yahweh is the devil and they should not be worshiping him. You can say it sound biblical if you want, and part of it may sound biblical because I do go into the scriptures quite a bit, but I'm actually reading them with a more open eye now than what you can read what the church is going to tell you. He is absolutely unique. Jehovah is absolutely demonic. He started out with Abraham bringing plagues on the Pharaoh after Abraham sat up there and told a completely unnecessary lie. He started out on the wrong foot. He sat there and gave Moses black magic sorcery to go and rescue the Jews after he came out of exile. He gonna go and go get them. And the first thing he had Moses do was throw his staff on the ground and it became a serpent. And Pharaoh said, "You ain't said but a word. My magic practicing priests can do that too." And they threw their staffs on the ground and they became serpents too. And Yahweh's serpent ate they serpents. That is sorcery. But then they turn around so darn hypocritical and judgmental and tell people, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that." Saul was the one that said you shouldn't be doing shouldn't consult any divination practitioners. And then what did he do? Turned around and told somebody to go get the witch of Endor because he wanted to talk to Samuel after Samuel was gone. Hypocrite. Solomon was the wisest man alive. Why do you think Solomon had 1,000 wives? I guarantee you there was some sex magic going on there. Hypocrites. Awesome, butterfly babe. And it's not going to happen instantly. Trust me. I wore it back and forth because, again, I was so concerned with, am I getting this right? Same thing. Am I really hearing what I think I'm hearing? Is this, I thought I was making it up and all that. I didn't really want to accept the fact that I was clairaudient. And then some of the things that I was hearing, I didn't understand at the time because some of the things that I heard even in 15 years ago haven't come all the way full circle yet. I understand them better, but some of the stuff that I heard something one night in 2008 that I didn't understand at the time, but I passed the message on to somebody else, and it literally saved somebody's life. And I had no way of knowing what was going on with her. She was a Desert Storm vet with shrapnel in her head, one of my coworkers, and I can't remember that lady's name to this day because we wasn't particularly close. But at 1:30 in the morning, I got up to go to the bathroom, and I had like 4 messages that just came into my head in rapid fire succession. And one of them was to tell her to go to the doctor, not now, but right now. I went to work. I didn't understand the message, but I gave it to her. And I didn't see her no more for about 2 weeks. When she came back, she hugged me so hard I thought my ribs was going to crack. She said, I don't know how you knew. She said, that's a lie. I do know how you knew. And thank you. The doctor said that the shrapnel was on the move. And if she had gone home and went to bed that night, she probably wouldn't have never woke up again. It saved her life. I can't take credit for it. I'm literally half asleep sitting on the toilet, and I get a notion that she need to go to the doctor. That same night, I got that one of the messages that I got. I was dating a dude at the time that had a huge lawsuit pending. And I told him what Spirit told me. If he did not take the next settlement offer that they gave him, that it was going to all go away. He was being greedy and chose not to take the next settlement offer. They went back into his medical records and it all went away. He wound up getting his medical bills paid, but he lost out on $238 million because he doubted my clairaudience and my spirituality. I didn't see what Mick Don wrote, but okay. Niana, don't child. Like I said, I'm glad y'all are putting the testimonies in there, but if they're not prepared to understand that, I doubted myself as a reader too. That's why it took me so long to start going live, because when I first was led to tarot, it was for my own healing. I read for myself only for about 2 years. And then all of a sudden, I got a wild hair up my butt and started collecting tarot decks and couldn't understand why. And I had so many of them, and I was like, maybe I'm supposed to be reading for other people. But I still didn't think I was ready. My boyfriend kept telling me, you're a very good reader. You really are ready. You don't know. And it really wasn't until I was reading for some of my karmics even. And the one that was doing the spell work that I didn't know until later, the last reading I did for him, he was even shook because I saw something in that reading that he said he had not told nobody but God. And me and him had been friends for 15 years or 10 years. And he had never told me, but I saw it in that reading. And when I told him about it, he was shook. My daughter, my youngest daughter, is absolutely my worst critic. She ain't about spirituality, and she damn sure ain't about my spirituality. But her little butt got in some trouble, and she didn't know what was going on. She asked me to do a couple of readings for her, and she came back and she was like, Mama, you might want to dial that down a little bit because you're going to be scaring people. She said it was scary accurate. And I have been estranged from her for literally 3 years. I had no idea what was going on in her life except what them cards told me. And she said it was so accurate that I could scare people with the level of accuracy in them readings. And that was kind of how I knew that I was ready to read for others. Exposing scripture, you know what? Now you quoting that, but read that. Satan does disguise himself as an angel of light, and that's why the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one, because he's disguising himself as an angel of light and got Christians, Muslims, and Jews worshiping him when he's actually Satan, the devil. Read what you wrote for yourself. And he does say it's no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness, and their end will correspond. Yeshua told them, in that day you'll come to me and you'll say, Lord, Lord, didn't we perform many powerful works in your name? And didn't we expel demons in your name? And all of that. And he said, and yet I'll say to you, I never knew you. Get away from me, you workers of iniquity. Read, you exposing scripture, read it yourself, bro, because I promise you it applies to the Christians. They have been flim-flammed and bamboozled and tricked into worshiping the devil, and they have no idea because they refuse to listen to what Jesus said. Every time I read John 8, when it says it right there in plain English, I still have blind as hell Christians arguing with me that he was talking to the Pharisees or he was talking to somebody else. They wanted to be everybody but them. Yeshua was talking directly to the Jews who he knew full well were worshiping Yahweh. And he told them that his father was not the father that they was worshiping, that they were worshiping their father, the devil. We finna read that right now, just in case you don't believe me. You can't expose scripture to me because I done read it and I can read with understanding, not reading with the understanding that some jacked up preacher done gave me, but with real understanding that came from Yeshua. Yeshua said to them, if Elohim were, and I'm not using God because it should not be God, it should be Elohim, because like I said, there's more than one Elohim. Elohim is a plural term. But if Elohim were your father, you would love me, for I came from Elohim and I am here. I came not of my own accord, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to hear my word. You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, and he does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. It don't get no plainer than that. It doesn't. And Christians quick to quote that scripture about their end corresponding to their deeds. Christians, the Bible says a slave of the Lord does not need to fight. And every time they have a war, the Pope and everybody, all the other preachers and everything else line up to bless the bullets, the ships, the guns, and everything else. They lay in bed. Literally, the scriptures call Christianity, Christendom, and Babylon the great harlot, because they literally have made themselves nasty bedfellows with the politics of the world, even though Yeshua said they were not supposed to. That part. And still stand up from that lofty, haughty place like they got the truth. And everything that they worship and stand for goes 100% against everything Yeshua was talking about. They're still worshiping Yahweh. Yahweh ain't never had no love for humanity in any pantheon he's ever been represented in. He didn't love humanity as Bacchus. He didn't love humanity as Dionysus. He didn't love humanity as Zeus, as Odin, as none of them. He certainly didn't love them as Baal. He didn't love humanity as Beelzebub. But those are all names for Yahweh. And Christians, because the church then put blinders on you and told you all you can read is church approved materials, you don't even know the history of Yahweh. You do not know the nature of the God you serve. He didn't just show up on this planet 2,500 years ago as Yahweh. He'd been on this planet for thousands and thousands of years under other names, and none of them were good. He has hated humanity ever since he set foot on this planet. And he lies and deceives and try to tell people that he's so good and all of. He's not. You said Psalm 83:18. And again, the Psalms, a lot of that's a bunch of spell work, but again, there's more than one Elohim in the scriptures. We're going to see what Psalm 83:18 says. That's a lie. Again, this idea of the Most High, that they may know that you alone, whose name is the Lord. First of all, Lord ain't even a name. That should tell you something right there. He's very duplicitous about what his actual name is. He didn't even tell Abraham what his name was. He was like, who shall I say sent me? Tell him I am who I said I am sent me. What kind of foolishness is that? And you going to worship somebody that can't even tell you their name? Really? Then you would be the fool. But this 83:18 talking about that they may know that you alone, whose name is the Lord, are the most high over all the earth. But even still, most high over all the earth does not mean that that's the creator of the heavens and earth. His first title, Yahweh, Enlil, when he first came here from Nibiru, as Enlil, his title was Lord of the Command. He is a warrior. And Anu did give him the reign, if you will, of earth. So that title, Most High over all the earth, does not mean he's the all invincible, infallible sky daddy. That just means he's the captain of earth based on what his daddy told him. Enki is the older son, but he did not have right of succession to the throne on Nibiru because his mother was a concubine, whereas Enlil's mother was of royal blood. So Enlil was next in line for the throne on Nibiru. But daddy is still very much ruling and healthy. So when they sent the expedition here to Earth, instead of giving Enki reign or a leading position on Earth, they gave it to Enlil. Alalu was supposed to have it, truthfully, but Anu reneged on that and gave Earth to Yahweh, and Yahweh been running it in the ground ever since. Enki is the scientist, though, so he really didn't buck. They did him dirty, but he didn't buck because he could still go out. But all the stuff that humanity got, they got from Enki. He went and plotted out the oceans. He turned around and plotted and gave us astronomy, astrology, meteorology, agriculture, science, philosophy, our first mystery schools, domesticating the crops. All of that stuff came from Enki. Yahweh ain't gave us nothing but lies, confusion, and war. Honestly, that's okay. They can bring the scripture up because he ain't said nothing. Like I said, I knew what 83:18 said because that was one of the key scriptures that Jehovah's Witnesses like to harp on too, but it ain't saying nothing. Matos for Vilonia, I just read John chapter 8, verse 42. I'm not going to go back and read it again, but he said that Yahweh was the devil. He told them that his father was not their father, that they did not know his father that sent him. They were worshiping their father, the devil, and he was addressing the Jews who were worshiping Yahweh. Yeah. But Stacy, you think you worship it? You think you studying the Bible in chronological order? I bet you ain't though, because people don't even understand. We right here, we're in Psalms. If you go back to the story of Job, Job is right smack dab. This is the first chapter of Job, so it's right kind of in the middle of the Bible. And people would think that that's where it's supposed to be. The story of Job really should have been right after Deuteronomy. It happened earlier than all of this stuff. Wow, Tommy vibes. You know what? I wish I was Aunt Jemima because she had plenty of money. How about that, ignorant self? You said you're curious about Enki, Abraham, Moses, Joseph, Jesus, all time spent in Egypt. Moses definitely got taught in the black magic as Pharaoh's sons. How would he know about other gods? He would. No. Moses was given that black magic by Yahweh. He left out if you remember the story, I am who I am. Moses was raised in the Pharaoh's house. But Moses left out on the run. He was a fugitive because he killed one of Pharaoh's guards. And when he was out there on the run, that's when Yahweh caught up with him and sent him back into Egypt, which, first of all, that was a very hateful thing for Yahweh to do, but that was selfish as hell, narcissistic. This man is literally a fugitive out of Pharaoh's house, afraid for his life. And Yahweh said, screw that. I want you to go get these people for me. Moses said, I'm slow of speech and everything else. How can I do that? Well, I'm going to send Aaron and you're going to be all right. But I want you to go get them people for me. And you tell him, I said I am that I said I am sent for me. Give me my people. Let my people go. And of course, Pharaoh said, the devil is a lie. You out your rabbit ass mind. And that's when Moses, he don't worry about it. I'm going to send you a little razzle dazzle. He gave him magic tricks. The first one was the thing with the serpents. Then they turned all of the water to blood in Egypt. And then they sent the gadflies, and then they sent darkness and the biting flies and all of that stuff, the plagues. That was all of that sorcery, but that was what Yahweh sent. Moses didn't get that from Egypt. That was all at the hand of Yahweh. I am who I am. Every bit of it. But the Egyptians knew about, the Israelites knew about other gods. The Israelites were not monotheistic, they were henotheistic. Abraham's father Terah was a scribe in the temple of Nannar-Sin when he came out of Ur. Abraham was not worshiping Yahweh when he came out of Ur. He was 75 years old. He had been worshiping entirely other gods for 75 years of his life. And then when he left Ur, Yahweh told him, if you're willing to worship me, I'll give you a son in your old age and I'll make your name a mighty people. But I am El Elyon, the destroyer, so don't get it twisted. If you sign on to worship me, I am going to require exclusive worship from you. Abraham wasn't worshiping Yahweh all his life. He literally started worshiping Yahweh in the last part of his life, and Yahweh still didn't do right by him. He promised him a son at 75 and didn't give him that son until he was 99. And then turned around and told him, now that I done gave you that son, prove your faithfulness to me. Take him up on the mountaintop and cut his throat and offer him to me as a blood sacrifice to prove that you're faithful to me. What kind of mental torment is that to put somebody under? Yahweh is a nasty somebody. Oh, you say you didn't even tell me what to put. Exactly. You just told me, and you saying it was all straight. Okay. Honestly, Niana, thank you for that confirmation, because you're the only one other person has the dragon come out for me for that card. That deck only has one dragon in it, and I got some dragons in the oh my goodness, I can't even think of this deck here. Dreams of Gaia deck. But when that dragon card came out, I didn't know if that will relate to you or not. But you're saying that you knew it was the real deal when it came out. Good. I'm glad to know that. Awesome. 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 Oh, I didn't even see what Tommy Vibe said, but yeah, you can block him if you want to. I don't care. Y'all, like I say, this is y'all's channel. I don't even worry about blocking them no more. If they need to go, y'all will get rid of them. Again, Exodus 20 says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's Yahweh demanding that. But so what? If a bully come and tell you what you can't do, that don't mean you got to do it. That's Yahweh shit. Of course he said, don't have no other gods before me. But that doesn't mean there aren't any other gods. In fact, that's proof that there are other gods. If there wasn't any other gods out there, he wouldn't have never had to tell them, thou shalt not have any other gods before me. The Israelites had been worshiping Moloch when they were in Egypt, which is basically goes back to Marduk. They weren't worshiping Yahweh in Egypt. Yahweh was conscripting them into service in exchange for getting them out of slavery. He said that y'all gonna worship me now. And again, they didn't even have the rule book on how to worship him. He got them out of Egypt and then left them at the foot of Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights while him and Moses went up into the mountain, because Yahweh was still on that they can't see my face thing. So he went up there in the mountain so he could get behind the burning bush and all his little flashbang tricks. And he wrote the 10 Commandments with his stylus. And then Moses wrote the rest of the law And when they came down, they were so worried that Moses wasn't going to come back that they asked Aaron to make a golden calf so that they could make supplication to the God they had been worshiping, so somebody might save them and they might not starve to death out there at the foot of Mount Sinai. And when Yahweh came down off the mountain and saw that, he was so angry that he said he was going to kill the entire nation of Israel, all 100-something thousand of them. He was going to kill them all right there at the foot of Mount Sinai. And to stop him from doing that, Joshua said, wait, Yahweh, we'll police ourselves. Please don't kill us all. He went and talked to the Levitical priest, and that night they killed 3,000 of the nation of Israel to appease Yahweh, a blood sacrifice of 3,000 of their own brothers and sisters to appease this damn God that this so-called God that they agreed to serve. And they didn't even have the rule book on how to serve him yet, but he didn't care. He was going to kill them all anyway. What kind of God was? I know that someone was thinking, oh my God, what the hell did we done got into? What kind of foolishness did we agree to? Can you imagine? Because you agreed to serve this God and he done abandoned you, or you thought he done abandoned you. He ain't even told you how he wants you to worship him yet. But because you got it wrong and pissed him off, you wake up in the morning and your whole family and whatever else done been killed to appease him, and you still have to continue to act like you are right with worshiping him and continue to rock on. And he was still so spiteful to, even though they killed 3,000 of them to appease him, he still led them lost in the desert for 40 years for a trip that shouldn't have took them more than 11 weeks, to make sure that the vast majority of the ones who he rescued out of Egypt would have died off before he actually delivered them to the land of Canaan. That's a nasty, spiteful son of a bitch. That is somebody that reneges on everything they said. That's why Yeshua said he's a liar and the father of the lie. He promised those people the land of Canaan and then turned around and reneged on them immediately after they got out of Egypt. Why would we be beholden to continue to serve a monster like that? Humans have been lied and bamboozled and actually act like they're a little bit brain damaged to continue to think that we're supposed to follow that kind of a liar. If he's the true God, why haven't we had any peace on this planet since he's been installed? People have been worshiping Yahweh. 75% of the planet has been worshiping Yahweh for 2,500 years, and we keep going from bad to worse. No peace, famine, disease, greed, commercialism, slavery, trafficking, you name it, all up under the auspices of Yahweh, either in the name of Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. No, he did not say that the spirit of Yahweh was on him when he preached in Nazareth. The spirit of the Lord, there's more than one Lord. Again, open your mind, exposing scripture. His father is not Yahweh, it's Lord Enki. The spirit of Enki was on him when he was preaching in Nazareth. And the reason I know that is because when he got baptized, the heavens opened again. Yahweh said that they couldn't see their faces, but they could talk to them. They often came behind the building, in the cloud, in the bush, in the whatever. When John baptized Yeshua, according to the Gospel of Matthew, when he got baptized, they said Holy Spirit descended in the form of a dove, and through the clouds, the crowd heard a voice that said, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Follow him." That was not Yahweh telling nobody that that's his son. He didn't decide that was his son until after they killed him, and he took credit for it being his son. But Yeshua was not telling nobody to follow Yahweh. That was not what he said. So that was not the father that he was speaking of. He was speaking of the other Elohim, Enki. Hey, LW. Again, I am who I am. He is coming back because he told people his father, Yeshua said, my judgments are light and my father judges not. But by the time you get to Revelation, the ones he's coming back for the sword for are the ones who basically continue to worship the dragon, the ones who continue to worship Yahweh, even though he done been trying to tell them and they just refuse to get it. Revelation says that a third of the population of this planet will be killed off, that their blood will run however many furlongs high in the street, and the watchers and the demons and Yahweh, Satan, the devil, all of them will be bound in the lake of fire. And then after that, the other Elohim is going to come back with New Jerusalem coming down out of heaven, and he's going to rule peaceably on earth. Yeshua didn't tell nobody. He does love everybody. He loves everybody so much that he continued to try to teach them the truth right up until the point that they tried to unalive him. And he turned around and came back energetically and is coming to people through the vehicle of Holy Spirit to continue his ministry even now. And people like you and all the rest of them that get on this channel and argue with me tooth and nail still ain't trying to hear it. And there will come a point in time at the end of the Anunnaki Wars, after Yahweh done been loose to do his worst, which I believe that already has happened too, when the battle really, really kicks up and it says that Michael and the four horsemen and all of them going to come back, and Yeshua is going to be energetically at the helm of all of that, and Yahweh is going to be bound, and those who continue to follow Yahweh are going to be destroyed. He still loves them, but he loves righteousness more, and the ones who just will not get it will be destroyed according to the scriptures. Period. You should be linking Beelzebub to Yahweh, baby, because he is. That's one of his names. Beelzebub, Baal. People understand Baal worship is bad, but they don't understand Yahweh worship is bad because they don't understand that Baal is Yahweh. Beelzebub is Yahweh. Yaldabaoth is Yahweh. Enlil is Yahweh. Again, Yeshua on earth had a message for everybody. I am who I am. But again, he loves righteousness more than he does wickedness. So those who choose to cling to the lie will be destroyed. It don't mean he don't love them, but he ain't gonna put up with their bullshit. He's sick. Enlil is an Anunnaki lord. The Anunnaki wars have been happening for hundreds of thousands of years on this planet. His brother, his cousins, his sisters, his wives, all the other Anunnaki are sick of his ass, and he's got to go. And those who choose to cling to him and cling to following him and stick with his lies and his beliefs will go along with him. Loving somebody don't mean you got to keep putting up with abuse. Yahweh, the Messiah, does love those who wish to follow along peacefully with the peaceful Elohim. He don't owe it to those who choose to follow the dragon to continue to put up with them forever and ever and ever. If their consciousness will not expand to the point that they are willing to hear the truth and accept it and repent and turn their face away from Yahweh and actually cooperate with the Elohim who has showed up to actually try to help them, according to Revelation, they're going to die. Now, you can say what you want about whether that's loving or not. It's completely fair. It may not be loving in your book, but I certainly understand. I don't wish it for nobody, but I understand, because you can't have peace with people who refuse to know peace. Like Paul Wallace said, worshiping a monster makes monsters out of us. And the people that still advocate for the type of shit that Yahweh has going on this planet, who are so brainwashed that they want to continue along that brainwashed path, there'll come a point that if they cannot accept the truth, they'll be exterminated because they don't fit with the new agenda. New earth will happen here. Period. Yahweh can't stop it and his people can't stop it. New earth is going to happen here with peaceful people. So those who cannot accept the truth of that will be exterminated. Hey, Hey, cool guy. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Froggy Frog. Hey, Angela Burnley. Welcome. Bro 100, Yahweh ain't never been nothing but war. His title is Lord of the Command. He's a warrior. He's a military tactician. And he don't mind getting his hands dirty in the midst of a lie to do it. Exposing scripture, I'm about tired of you. You don't get it. We going on to something else. So if I ignore you, you can excuse me or not. That's up to you. Enoch, cool guy. Enoch was also I forgot who's I think Enoch was also, if he wasn't a direct son of Enki, he was a son of one of Enki's sons. Hold on, let me look in Genesis 5. It might yeah, Jared is a hybrid, and Jared fathered Enoch. In chapter 5 of Genesis, it gives us the lineage, and I think, let me look in here in the Lost Book. I think it mentions Jared. Hold on. Or maybe I can't find where he was, but there were several of them that were mentioned in chapter 5 that show up in the Lost Book of Enki in the glossary. But yeah. But he's also said that Enoch is now Metatron. That's another thing that lets you know that Enoch is Team Enki all day. Metatron, I mean, if Enoch is now Metatron, you know he has to be Team Enki, because Enlil would never, ever, 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 ever have granted immortality and heavenly life to a human. Enki literally thinks that humans are disgusting, that we are animals, and we should be exterminated. He know that Unique. He's busy arguing for his limitations because he still loves Yahweh apparently, which is his right. But that's why I said I'm not going to even continue. I'm not going to allow him to take up this entire talk because he doesn't want to hear what I'm saying, and all it's doing is frustrating me. So I'm just going to kind of ignore what he's saying and get on to what other people are talking about because I ain't got time. Oh, ain't no worries, not light bulb. The replays on these are always public, so if there's something that you want to go back and listen to, then that's cool. You said you learned about Odin today while trying to learn about spiritual visits from the Ravens. And honestly, but when stuff like that pops up, it ain't nothing wrong because I'll go back and listen to stuff about who Yahweh really was, who or this or that was. I love fact of the matter. I forgot earlier today, Morgue Official dropped something, I think, about the Book of Enoch, and I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it, and we'll probably talk about it on an upcoming thing. There's so much stuff that I'd be wanting to listen to, but I remember seeing the notification for that when it dropped. I love Morgue Official, and yeah. 16 Mo, that kind of stuff will get you disappeared up off of this channel. Because guess what? A woman don't need to worry about sitting on nothing without, you talking about without a husband. It ain't even got nothing to do with a husband. She needs a divine counterpart who matches her energy so that she can step into sacred love. So it ain't just a husband, any old husband to do. The devil is a lie. Women are truly sacred. Our wombs are the one. We are more spiritual than men by nature. We are conduits to the other side of the veil by nature of our womb. And if she is truly an ascended being, she most likely has a golden womb and a golden yoni. So don't sit there and say, what does it matter? Like you looking down on women. You should ever be so lucky to have a sacred female in your presence, sir. I don't know what he think. again, like, I thought he was cool, but I don't know what the baby in it is about and what I got on my plate. I got the same thing on my plate that I have on my plate every night here. It don't change. I'm a teacher. I'm not here to flirt with nobody. I'm not here for. We really don't do too much with political conversations. Sometimes we get on like real talk relationship issues and stuff, but all you gonna get from me is like Auntie Nana type wisdom. I'm not here flirting with nobody. So I don't know where that baby stuff come from, but okay. Awesome, Stacy. Yeah. Child, I don't know what he 16 Mo talking about. Again, I still don't know what you talking about. Talking about somebody sitting on faces. That's just kind of nasty and really inappropriate considering the conversation we having there. Hey, Master Jaka Germano. Hey, King and Nawa. Good to have you in here. John 3:16. I think he was in here the other day. I hope you're gonna behave today. Hey, Ponderous Nerve. Welcome, welcome. Exact. Please tell him Yahweh is way older than Judaism, and he was a butthole in every pantheon he's ever showed up in. That's the thing that really gets me with the arrogance of the religiosity that's on the planet now. They're literally the new kids on the block and trying to convince everybody else that everything that came before is mythos and to be ignored. It's like don't worry about that. Just keep your eye on the bouncing ball. Meanwhile, they're giving you nothing but subterfuge. It's a shell game. It literally is a shell game that we've been given. They got these people worshiping the devil and they don't even know. And they so proud and just as wrong and proud and don't have no clue. And when somebody try to tell them, they start spewing all of them little pet phrases that the preachers give them, but the preachers don't even know. Some of them do. The seminary trained ones do. But most of the folks in Christianity and stuff aren't seminary trained. Like I say, it's one of them type deals where they figured out the preachers make a boatload of money. So they all just grabbed a Bible and a starched collar and started preaching. And they have no idea what they're talking about. Just as lost and wrong as two left shoes. That is a fabric tapestry that I got off of Amazon. Actually, it's like the moon with the tree of life and something else. And it was supposed to be like a black light poster, but I don't even remember. I think the little black light I bought off of Temu didn't work, or I done lost it somewhere, whatever the case may be. But it was still cool, so I didn't use it as a black light image. I just used it as a poster. I didn't even see John 3:16. Other question, you said like Norwegian, in the Norwegian pantheon, Yahweh was Odin. Again, not a nice dude at all. You said, do Noah's sons Ham studied the Enki? Each one of the sons there had time to rule the world. When Abraham was around, would he have come up in Ham's jurisdiction? Honestly, when Abraham was around, who knows? Because there was a bunch of different Elohim. You act like what nobody else. Here I am, who I am. The timelines, if you're trying to make it fit into what the limited timelines that Christianity gives you, you're going to stay lost. I just told you that when Abraham came around, in his father Terah was a scribe in the temple of Nanar Sin. Nanar was another of Enki's sons. They was worshiping Inanna. They was worshiping Nanar. They was worshiping, who else was somebody? Let me name off some of these folks they were still worshiping. I can't remember all of them. Let me see here. Uh, okay. No, Batanash was Lamech's wife. Okay, so no, that wasn't. Hold on. I'm trying to get to some of these. Somebody asked me about Enkidu the other day. That was Gilgamesh's companion. I couldn't remember who it was that the Enkidu was with. When Gilgamesh, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, they created Enkidu to travel with Gilgamesh, but Enkidu was not an actual human. It was a soulless being, like an organic android, if you will. Yeah, Eresh Kigal was the granddaughter of Enlil, and she was the sister of Anana and the spouse of Nergal. That was one of the people that they was worshiping. And then Geshtanana was there. That was Dumuzi's sister. They were worshiping her. And it says here in the Lost Book of Enki that Ibrahim was a son of a priestly royal family from Nippur and Ur. He was the biblical Abraham. He was not worshiping Yahweh from the beginning. Like I say, he didn't start worshiping Yahweh till he was 75 years old. But we had, like I said, Inanna was here. Izimud was there. He was a vizier. Marduk, of course. And Methuselah, who is the biblical Methuselah, was the son of Enkimi and Edeni. And with that Enki in his name, Enkimi was probably either a son or a grandson of Enki. The whole world was of one earth and one language, and guess who confused them? Yahweh, because he got pissed off because he found out that they could potentially reach consciousness and reach out to Nibiru. And you say that to say what? That's still not a good thing, to just fling people into instant disarray and confusion and whatever. Again, the preachers will teach you that that's a good thing, but it's not. Noah did exist, honey. He did. His name was Ziazudra. If you read the in the Lost Book, it tells you about what happened in the deluge. It also shows up in the Babylonian epic of the Enuma Elish, and he's known as Utnapishtim in the Atrahasis, I think. But he Noah definitely existed because Noah was a son of Enki, a biological, not created in the test tube in the lab. He made it with a human, and Noah was Enki's son. That's why he wanted to preserve him when the flood came. He didn't like the idea of his son dying. They said Noah looked different than everybody else too. Noah's daddy questioned whether or not it was his son or not when he was born, because he was really, really tall and had snow white hair. And again, I don't think it was just regular albinism, because they said his eyes were super, super bright and his hair was like platinum white. Noah was Enki's son. Probably 3/4 Anunnaki, because his mama was probably an Anunnaki hybrid too. But he existed for sure. Yeah, I know. That's why I said I'm gonna start kind of ignoring him, because he's just trying to hog the conversation, and I ain't got time. Anybody that's truly interested in learning, I'm willing to talk to. here, but I've been talking to I Am Who I Am for over an hour now, and he still just keep going back in the circles, just wanting to continue to cling to this biblical lies that he's been told, so he can cling to them if he'd like to. There's plenty of ancient texts about the flood, though. I will give you that for anybody that's curious. I just named several of them. They mention it here in the Lost Book of Enki. They also talk about the great calamity, the flood is mentioned, but they also talk about when the weapons of terror were unleashed here. And the Epic of Gilgamesh talks about the flood story. The Enuma Elish talks about the flood story. The Atrahasis talks about the flood story. I think it's mentioned in the Popol Vuh as well. Almost every ancient text around the globe talks about the flood. What is you talking about? But anyway, Parker, I wish you have donated $5,000. That would be lovely. I would definitely appreciate that. I didn't see that notification come up on my buy me a coffee, but if you've done that, trust and believe, I'll do you a free reading a month for the next 4-5 months or whatever if you want to. That would help out tremendously with what I'm trying to do right now. Dwayne, Christ is not almighty, and he did not only mock Yahweh, he told the Jews that Yahweh was the devil. So you can call that he didn't mock God. No, he didn't. He absolutely told the truth on. That's not mocking, that's just telling the truth. So if you got a problem with that, this probably ain't your channel, boo. Because never did Yahweh, Yahweh is not the Almighty. Yahweh is a storm god that had, like you said, showed up in many, many pantheons way before the Jews called him Yahweh. He's shown up for thousands and thousands of years in every pantheon he's ever shown up in. He was not a good dude. He was absolutely the most hateful of all the Anunnaki. The reason that he's known as the Lord of the earth or whatever, because his first title when he got here was Lord of the Command, but he's not the Almighty. He's an astronaut who came from Nibiru, who got too big for his britches and wanted all of his service and stuff and lied and said that humans were never to know that they're not gods. He insisted that a worship gene be put in us to make us worship them, and then he perpetuated that lie over humanity to tell people that they're gods, but he's not the Almighty. He's just a nasty little dude or nasty big dude, whatever, from Nibiru that wanted worship for himself. That's not mocking, that's just telling the truth. Yep, Master JK, I'm so glad somebody gets it. Enlil is Yahweh. Yahweh is Jehovah, but he's also Yah, the Baals, Beelzebub, Odin, Zeus, all of them. But yeah, and his other title when he got here was Satan of the Eden, which is why Yeshua said he's the devil, because he knew that. He knew that Enlil's title, his first title, was Satan of the Eden. Exactly. And Yahweh Jehovah wanted us all to perish. He was angry when he found out that there were survivors. The only reason we survived at all was because of Lord Enki, not because of Jehovah. But yet people still give Jehovah credit because he lied and stole his brother's thunder. He been lying and doing that. Like whoever that was, John 3:16 was talking about before, about how he presents himself as an angel of light. Every good thing that Enki has done, Yahweh came along and painted Enki as the devil and turned around and lied and took credit for doing the things that Isis and Enki and Thoth have done for humankind. Yahweh lied and claimed he's done those things when he actually did not. Yahweh ain't never did nothing for humanity but try to destroy us. Several times he's called for our destruction. He's never tried to help us at all, at all, at all. That's the part that has me so passionate about speaking about this, because humanity is so passionate, insisting on continuing to bow and scrape and kill and lie and destroy, to worship this murderous being who calls himself a god. Meanwhile, they're completely ignoring and disrespecting our actual progenitor, who does actually love us and has been trying their best to do things to help us and help enlighten us ever since. He's been fighting an uphill battle against this clown for thousands of years, and people will run to the bad and ignore the good. Ponderous nerve, don't just ignore John 3:16. He's literally just here trying to argue with people. Just leave him be, because it's counterproductive. He wants to cling to the lie. He wants to worship Yahweh. He'll continue to worship Yahweh until he either dies in his ignorance. And again, I'm not saying, I hope it's a long time from now, but if the end of the Anunnaki wars come within our lifetime, one of two things will happen. Those whose consciousness expand and are able to face these things will be able to commune and cooperate with Lord Enki. If it doesn't happen within our lifetime, those who transition off the scene and don't reach a point of enlightenment and understanding, they'll just be recycled and come back through to try to work the puzzle again the next go around. Maybe they'll figure it out next time. So it's no big deal. But I wouldn't sit there and argue with them no more, because, like you say, all it's going to do is aggravate you. Hey, Popcorn Willie, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Where do Enki and Enlil come from, Ponderous Nerve? They come from the planet Nibiru, according to the Lost Book of Enki. They tell you that they came from the before time in the beginning of this. I highly encourage you, either listen to the narration that I've done of this book on this channel, or go to Astral Legends TV, has a very good narration of the Lost Book of Enki. Um, Anunnaki Ancient, I think Anunnaki Ancient Mystery has there. It's an abbreviated version on Anunnaki Ancient Mystery and on Ancient Astronaut Archive. In my opinion, the animation is better on Ancient Astronaut Archive, and the summarization of the story is there. But if you really, really want the full meat and potatoes of what's in this book, the best narration of it is on Astral Legends TV. But like I said, without the if you really just want to listen to it without getting distracted by the cartoon pictures and all of that, I read it here on the channel and stop and kind of discuss it and all of that, so that I could read it and get away without, getting a knock for the copyright. But I actually have narrated it as well on this channel. There is a lot to learn, bro. 100, but they make it harder than it has to be. Yeah, light bulb guys, Morgue is super cool. Look, Tesla, you came up here yesterday with that same stuff. Stop playing a victim. How about that? If you really, really want to get over where you have all of this mental torment and anxiety and self doubt and all of that stuff, stop showing up in chat rooms as a victim. I'm not saying you don't need some help, but like I told you, you can either email me if you want a private session, or you can come online on Anunnaki Oracle Priestess if you want me to pull some cards for you. But the more you keep declaring yourself to be somebody, a victim, dealing with mental torment and anxiety and self doubt, the more mental torment, anxiety, and self doubt you're going to have. I'm not trying to fuss at you, baby, but you kind of sort of get some of that. I'm not saying you don't have some real stuff going on in your life, But the more you lean into believing that you're dealing with mental torment and anxiety and self-doubt, the more mental torment, anxiety, and self-doubt you're going to have. Especially self-doubt, because self-doubt is just honestly, and I'm not fussing at you, baby, because I deal with it too. I dealt with a whole season of self-doubt. It kept me stuck for years, but truthfully, it's just silly, because self-doubt is basically other people and told you that you're great, you're kind of the shit, and you're so down on yourself, you refuse to believe your own self-talk or anybody else's talk. Can't nobody stop you from doing that but you. That's just a choice. You choose to be self-degrading in your own mind chatter. You could stop that right now. You don't have to keep coming up in the chat room saying that you need help. Yeah, you need help, but do the shadow work. Meditate. Do some inner child work. That'll help with the mental torment, the anxiety. It'll help with all of it. If you do your shadow work and inner child work, it'll help with all of that. And then you won't have to keep showing up in chat rooms saying that. Because I know if you're doing it in this one, you're going probably in several of them doing the same thing. Hey, Robin Williams, how are you? You here for the shim sham flim flam? Okay, D, I'm glad to have you in here, baby, but you're going to have to take more of a self-empowering stance. You're not a victim. A lot of the bad things may have happened to you, but at the end of the day, when you really get to healing, you'll find out that most of that stuff happened for you, not to you. They are karmic lessons that you need to work your way through so that you can graduate from them and keep moving. Okay? And that's just with the chosen, we all have to get to that at some point. You'll be a victim as long as you make up your mind to be a victim. Shawnee, you said no. Did you send an email? I didn't see an email. I didn't see a message here in the chat. A minute. Uh-oh. Shawnee, did you send me an email or something? Because I didn't see anything about Bible verses from Paul Wallace. Because I would definitely I'd like to see the message that you had, because I just don't remember seeing it. It said Odin controls lightning and God is the creator of the earth. But here's the thing. It depends on, again, we can say God is the creator of the earth, but if people have been indoctrinated into those other religions, they're still in the back of their mind, they're seeing Sky Daddy instead of the creator of all who actually put the earth here. Like I said, the God of Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 is the one who created the earth, did the initial bioforming and terraforming here and all of those things. But by the time we get down to the last half of Genesis chapter 1, when they get to let us make man in our image, everything after that don't have nothing to, everything after that in the Bible, after the phrase let us make man in our image, everything else in the Bible after that don't have nothing to do with the creator of all. It's the Anunnaki story. What happened to Billy Carson, Joshua? No, Joshua, don't believe that. Do not believe that. That's what Christianity tells you, that none of the ancient texts matter ever since Yeshua came. You know why they tell you that? So you won't look at the ancient texts and figure out that Christianity is a lie. That's why they tell you none of the ancient texts matter. Don't be naive, brother. Please don't be naive. And what happened to Billy Carson? I didn't think anything had happened to him. What book is what, Precious Carter? I've talked about the Lost Book of Enki. I've also talked about the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I read in the book of the Gospel of John. We're reading the book of Enoch right now, Revelation. Well, I don't know what book you're referring to. It depends on what you believe, Raquel. The God that I would look at, again, I don't look at the way we've been programmed to believe we're supposed to pray. But when I talk to Lord Enki. I don't even talk to Yahweh no more. Now that I find out who he is. And I also don't say amen no more, Shawanda. But hey, welcome, welcome. John Boy Key, John Boy Coy. No, not really. I'm not allowed. I don't want to say I'm not allowed. My spirituality, my spiritual walk does not involve any kind of religion at this point, any spell work, witchcraft, none of that. The closest thing that, if you want to call it that, I am a bit of a moon mama, so I will set my petitions and things for my own personal development or desires that I want or whatever. Set intentions with the new moon and the full moon, and I have considered doing a line of healing candles and stuff, using the moon and stuff to charge the stones and meditate with them, because I am Reiki attuned. But I will be just infusing Reiki into inanimate objects, but doing like cleansing oils and protection oils and things like that. But actual spell work, all of that come to me and all, no, never. I'm not able to do that. I probably could, but I won't. I'm not, that's not part of my walk. I'm not spiritually allowed to. Maybe it could be. Some of them, absolutely, bro. 100. The Anunnaki are a very diverse people. They had people coming from all kinds of star systems. That's one of the reasons Enki is referred to as Lucifer, the morning star. It said he has Venusian roots. Yeshua is also referred to as the morning star. That's his new name that he said he would take up in Revelation 22. But the Dogon people of Mali were talking about the Nomo for the past 500-600 years, and they had the coordinates of Spirit Sirius B for hundreds of years before scientists could even confirm that. They just really, once they built the Hubble telescope, they finally had the technological capability of confirming the coordinates of Sirius B. But the Dogon people of Mali have known that for hundreds of years, and they still live in mud huts to this day because they chose to keep themselves separate. Okay, awesome, Raquel. Exactly. Unique self-doubt is self-sabotage. My email, I'll check after I will get around, because now, Shawnee, I will check my messages after the live stream, but something happens when I go in studio. I don't think I always get all of the comments on the videos. I go to community and try to look to make sure I'm not overlooking some, but every now and then I'll get a batch from like 3 or 4 days prior that I know I've been in studio since then, so I don't know how I missed them. But my email address is on the about page of the channel too. It's Modern Mystic Messages at gmail.com. So you can email me if you prefer. Hey, Candyland, welcome, welcome. I'm not doing readings here. I will be doing readings probably tomorrow morning. I'm gonna try to be on by 10 a.m. Eastern, but it won't be on this channel. It will be on my other channel, Anunnaki Oracle Priestess. You can find the icon for that channel on the home page of this channel. You can scroll down towards the bottom and it'll say my other channel. You can tap there and subscribe and set for notifications so that when I do go online, you'll see it. But yeah, I'm not reading here tonight. Hey, Anunnaki of Gem City. It's my pantheon too. I'm an Anunnaki Oracle Priestess under Lord Enki and Yeshua. No, I don't do no witchcraft, Razel. I don't know who you are of Gem City. I don't believe in you. I believe in Lord Enki and Yeshua, but okay. Junior Ports, no, I'm not free or I'm not single. And Donnie R. No, I'm not trans either. You can't see. I have given birth to 5 children, and I have 4 living adult children, 2 daughters and twin sons that are 25, 30, and 34 years old. Don't play with me, boy. You can't see no Adam's apple here. You a lying. The truth ain't in you. Okay, cool, Shawnee. I'll check it later then. I'm so sorry. I didn't, like I said, I didn't go into my email right before this live stream, but I'll check them later. Exactly. Well, they do, but again, and I'm not offended, y'all. You ain't got to, because like I say, I ain't never been nowhere close to a man. I'm not gay. I don't have anything wrong with that. Both my daughters are lesbians, but I'm not. I am very much heterosexual. I do have a man. And honestly, at this point in the game, I'm 57 years old. So truthfully, I would be allowed to become asexual if I choose to, you know? Hey, Steven, what's up? It amazes me that people that are so low minded, though, they can't find nothing to do but walk up and insult strangers or ask very invasive, inappropriate questions of strangers or say horrifically sexually inappropriate things to strangers. You really, really got to be a very low minded, unintelligent person to do those kinds of things. You really almost kind of have to feel sorry for them because they really ain't got no kind of life. Just nasty people, very unintelligent. Peter Miro, you're going to have to go back and watch the live stream. I've been on here for literally almost 3 hours talking about my beliefs. I don't, it amazes me that people do that. You jump in and you only been on here for a couple of minutes and think that I'm supposed to stop the conversation and go all the way back to act one, scene one to bring you all the way up to speed. And I've literally been online for almost 3 hours talking about my beliefs. So if you don't want to stick around long enough to hear what they are, I don't know what to tell you. Oh, WLF, WTF, you about to be blocked too. That's nasty. Go find some. There's plenty of raggedy women on YouTube that will entertain that kind of nonsense. I'm not one of them. I recommend you retract that, or you're gonna be disappeared off of here real quick. Anunnaki, whoever you are, you on some foolishness. We don't. Anyway, they're not your grandchildren. They was the first ones that got here, so they can't be your grandchildren. I know enough of the Anunnaki history that I'm not buying into that nonsense. Now, if you want to stick around here and truly learn, that's fine. If you come at me with some of that mentally damaged nonsense, you'll be removed. Don't play. Seriously. Enlil and Enki cannot be your grandchildren. And I don't have faith in you. I have faith in Enki. These people get me. They done smoked so much dope or did whatever they did that they come up with all kind of foolishness. They gods and they angels and they this and they that. And they don't know shit about the scriptures, ancient history, or nothing else except to come in making grandiose claims about nonsense. It is mental illness. And we just don't have time for it here. Really? You said you couldn't find my live nowhere? Wow. Hey, Nicole, what's up? What's up? Uh-oh. Why you got rid of so cold? I didn't even hear what else they said. I just saw no such thing. But yeah. And honestly, for those that feel like I'm being harsh, if you allow that kind of stuff to sit in here unanswered, they have to go because that kind of energy will draw more of the same, especially the ones that want to bring in here like low sexual energy and all of that kind of mentally deranged kind of stuff. If you allow them to come in here and just sit here unanswered, them and all of their counterparts will come right along with. So they have to go. They really have to go. Uh-oh, Stevie K official. Who is that? What did I'm so nosy. I know y'all be getting rid of them because they done said something that was inappropriate to you. But I'd be so nosy. I'd be kind of sort of wanting to know what they said. I know I shouldn't because all it's gonna do is annoy me. So I appreciate y'all being on it. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nosy. I want to know. Yeah, and that's what we're here for, to continue building on our foundation. And again, for those that come in early, I don't mind talking about what I believe. We talk about it every day. But oh boy, when he just jumped in here on hour 3 with the, well, what do you believe? Go back and listen to it, or be quiet and listen now. You'll kind of catch on and see what's going on. When I'm scrolling and go into a live stream, that's what I do, is kind of watch them for a few minutes to see what's going on, and then I'll know what they're talking about. But I could tell he hadn't bothered to listen for more than 45 seconds before he jumped in with the what do I believe. And that's just another tactic to disrupt the conversation. That's all. Child, I can see right now we ain't gonna be on here but about another 20 minutes because it looked like they're coming early tonight. Last night we stayed past 11, and oh my goodness, did they come. But it's looking like they're heading in earlier. They might be coming in a bit earlier tonight. It's funny to me. They just, ugh. But you know what? I also have to realize this comes kind of with the course. Yesterday during the live stream, y'all, we hit 3K. So I forgot to say thank you, thank you, thank you for that. That was awesome to me. And I am still seeing, I'm not seeing as many when we were pushing for the 1K, because I was like doing them really crazy long live streams. We were getting hitting like a lot of people all around the world, and we do still have some of that. But I do notice that because of what we're talking about, it looks like YouTube is shadow banning me a little bit, because now instead of getting like 150, 200 subscribers in and all of that during the live streams, I'm getting like 10, 20, that kind of stuff. My best breakfast plate. Uh, I'm not really a breakfast person, and I'm really not trying to lately. But I guess if I depends on, I don't know. Sometimes I could go for a good omelet. Every once in a while, if I'm really feeling fancy, I'll have like a short stack of pancakes. I don't typically make pancakes anymore though, since my kids have been grown and gone. But I mean, if I go out to eat or something for breakfast, I might do like omelets and pancakes. If I'm here at the house and just decided on breakfast, it'll be something real simple. Usually either like a scramble or an omelet, or um, cheese grits and some eggs or something, or a bowl of oatmeal, maybe a bacon. I mean, not bacon, a bagel with cream cheese or something. You said it. Wait a minute. You said I was live with Black on. However, when you ask it, wasn't. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Yes, because it said I was live with Black on. However, when you ask, it was no response. Maybe that's a blank. That must be a glitch in the system, because I only opened one tab for a live stream today. So I'm not sure what. Then it was playing like a record. You kept being able to. Oh, yeah. You know what, Nicole? It does that to me sometimes in the live stream. If it's still doing that, I would encourage you to close out YouTube altogether and then come back to my channel and then tap the live stream from the channel. If you can't find it in the feed, just like type in Modern Mystic Messages and go to the live on the channel and come in. I've had that happen in other people's live streams too. That it glitches or something when it. I don't know. That's a YouTube thing. And you have a good night as well, Fact Drop. I didn't even see you in here, but welcome and I hope you come back. But if you do, have a wonderful night either way. Uh-oh. Sorry. That is so weird. But again, like I was just mentioning, I'm not sure what's going on with YouTube. I haven't done anything to truly be violated or anything for. But I noticed a while back, like I said, the first few weeks, I was every time I would come live, I'd get like anywhere between 60 and 200 subscribers. My view count was like up. I had some live streams that was like 17, 20,000, all the rest of that. And now I'm being kind of capped out at about 1 to 3,000 views and about 10 to 15 subscribers. So yeah, it's been, I've been shadow banned a little bit. Yeah, you for sure you are, because when you go live, yeah, I've noticed that when I'm sitting here seeing the counts for these at any given time, I got 20 or 30 in the room. When it literally, like you said, if somebody was on here shaking their butt or doing stupid stuff or painting their faces orange or whatever, they'd have 1,000 people sitting in the room. If I was sitting there chopping up food or eating stuff in my face and letting people talk crap to me, I'd have 1,000 people in the room. It's a YouTube issue. I'm not, I can't even worry about it. Light bulb guys, yeah, I was sitting here one night and we were talking about some stuff in the lost book of Inky, and literally the FBI came in my room and let me know that they were in my room. And I thought it was somebody that was just trolling, and then after the live stream, I went to that icon and no, it was the FBI for real. Hey Janet Hope, how are you? And ever since then my numbers have been dropping, dropping, dropping. But I also know eventually the right people are going to see whoever needs to see it. They can do whatever they want. They can't stop my guides. They can't stop spirit. So I'm doing quite well, my dear. I hope you are as well. Yeah, they are. I'm just so I'm gluten sensitive, so I have to go slow on them. But I do love bagels. Yeah, Janet Hope. I'm on WhatsApp. You can find. I have a public group called Transformation Ascension Rebirth. You can find me there if you'd like. I don't do a whole lot of different stuff on there, but typically when I upload to the chat to any of my channels or anything, I'll upload it there. Occasionally we'll have some conversations on there where I'll drop a voice note or something. No, I'm not sending you my number in YouTube. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That will not happen. If you don't have the means to find me on WhatsApp, then I don't know what to tell you. You can hit me up on Instagram and I'll try to vet you and see if you're for real or if you just a troll. But I will never put my phone number. I ain't gonna say never because that's a long time. But as long as I'm seeing the kind of trolling and nonsense I'm seeing here, I won't be putting my phone number up on YouTube. Absolutely not. Hold on a second, Al. Oh, I'm trying to. Yeah, I was. Oh goodness, I hope that don't get me a copyright. But yeah. Well, you might need to get up off of here, Araya, and go handle your business. Then that's a nasty thing to come into a group of strangers and say, "Go handle your illness," and then come back here. Muhammad, I am from the United States. I was born in Florida, but I'm living in Georgia currently. You said you tried to find what the AI, I mean the WhatsApp group. Okay. Like I said, message me in Instagram if you wish. If you're serious about getting the link for that group, Message me in Instagram when I get off of the live stream. I'll try to remember because I had said that before and just forgot to go in. I don't go on Instagram very often, but I'm Modern Mystic Messages there as well. And then after we have a little chat and I determine that you're sincere about wanting to join that group, then I can send you the link there. But I wouldn't dare put it up in here because of all the idiots that come up in here. You send me some money. I'm in here working for the public. I don't know you from a can of paint. So you send me some money. Don't come in here with no foolishness, Andrew. We don't play them kind of games. You're going to be up out of here real quick with that. I'm actually here doing a public service, working for Spirit. So, yeah. Thank you, Kalandi or Kalon Deluxe. Appreciate you. Thank you. They do, they ain't the part that gets me. They're not kids. They're grown people that don't have no sense or no money. You out your rabbit mind, you low rent human. Sorry excuse for a human being, but you're gonna be out of here for a good long while. And if you ever show up again, you'll be permanently removed. Right? They don't get to me, but I also am not gonna just tolerate that. I'm really not. If they were kids, I really wouldn't mind as much. But these be grown people that acting like that. We are literally in the zombie apocalypse. It amazes me. Every time I turn on YouTube and see the things that people actually catch on recorded film, it just blows my mind because these people act like they genuinely don't have three brain cells firing together. It's crazy. Because Dwayne, I respond to them. Some of them I don't if my mods get them off here quickly enough. But if you don't respond to them, all they're gonna keep doing is spamming. And I know it's a lot of folks that feel like just like you. I'm bothering to answer you now. If I don't, you'll keep typing whatever you're gonna type in there. Because I could do the same thing as far as you saying that. Why do I respond to them? Because I do want them to know that I've seen them and they need to stop. If they want to stay and learn, they're welcome to stay. I try to give them a warning that they will be removed if they don't stop. They get one warning and then they're gone. The topics are whatever we come up with here. I mean, it stays pretty much on the same vein, basically. But yeah. Pipple Day, I'm good. How are you? Aurora Moon, yeah, I try to keep every now and then I will do like a headband and allow some of my hair to show, but for the most part, I have been keeping my head covered and keeping my third eye covered because I am very sensitive to energies and stuff, and I just don't really want to allow free reign for since I do know that we have trolls and that kind of stuff out here doing that. It's just easier. I still got to take my baths and burn my incense and do all that good stuff, but I don't have to. It just makes it easier to keep my head covered. Fact of the matter, I just said that. Let me light this up right now. Hold on a second. Okay. Exactly. Oh, I don't be worried about them. They don't. I really don't have a lot of crazy issues with that. But one is just part of my look and the way I like to dress. But two, it's better to protect than to be sorry later. So yeah, for two, it's a dual purpose for me. Hey, Shrook, how are you? Welcome in. Welcome in. How to unclog the third eye? Meditation, spiritual baths, and cleansing. Um, Number one, if you're still using fluoride product, drinking fluoridated water, or using fluoride toothpaste, please stop. That's number one. And I personally, when I stopped using fluoride toothpaste and fluoridated water, I also start for a short time. I started using Go-To Cola, which is an herb that kind of helped with that. Yeah. Sungate Shilajit is good. Yep. Sun gazing is good as well. Yep. Right. If you are in an area that still puts fluoride in the water, get a filter and stop using fluoride toothpaste. It does not prevent cavities. If anything, it probably winds up causing more cavities. That's another lie that's been perpetuated to us. But what it does do is calcify the pineal gland so that you can't open your third eye. So stop using fluoride toothpaste. And if you're going to look into sun gazing, definitely don't just take it upon yourself to just go do that willy nilly. There's I can't remember his name, HRM something, but there's some folks that have some detailed information about sun gazing on YouTube. Look it up and look into it carefully before you start sun gazing, because if you do it the wrong way, you can and most likely will damage your eyes. If you do it properly, you can improve your eyes. Yeah, you can pray over your water. You sure can. And be very careful. Anybody, especially if you're wanting to open your third eye, be more mindful about what you put into your regular eyes too. And by that, I mean what you allow yourself to be fed through media, through music, through the books you read, through all of that stuff. It's more important than we know. There's a lot of garbage just fed to us by way of the programming of the Matrix. And they tell us, oh, it's just entertainment. And they have little by little, just like Pavlov's dog, they have desensitized us to so much depravity in this sector of the Matrix. It's not even funny. It done gone to the place now years ago, not too shortly long ago, corn was supposed to be a very shameful thing. I can remember the years when the little stores and stuff was out and about and it was shameful and hidden behind the wall and whatever. People would be embarrassed to go. And now we got 18, 20-year-old girls that are proudly advertising that they're doing their homegrown versions of it on OnlyFans. Bye, Barley. Have a nice life. I hope you grow up and get some sense sooner or later. I'll get rid of this one. Yeah, none of that. No, I mean, if I can't tell people what to do, but I've just, if I were you, if you're trying to open your third eye and you're wanting to awaken and ascend, then yeah, none of that. The violent movies, the demonic type movies. I know people that sit around and want to watch all of the Jason and Chucky and all of that other stuff that they want, all of the Final Destination and gratuitous violence, gratuitous sex, all that kind of stuff. Thoughts are things. What you feed your mind, what you focus on, where attention goes, energy flows. So whether you want to call it entertainment or not, if that's what you're putting in your mind, it's gonna be crowding out the other stuff. No, it's not. It's only opening you up to dangerous situations if you still piddling around in dangerous nonsense, or you still messing around in the devil's house, aka Yahweh's house, aka Christianity, Judaism, Islam, that kind of stuff. If you're awakening and ascending and you know what you're doing, opening your third eye is not dangerous. Opening your third eye will keep you from staying stuck and blinded in Yahweh's world. Maybe that's why it's dangerous to you, because you want people to stay stuck. Maybe you want to stay stuck. That's your business, but you can't tell other people that. Hey, Celestine, how are you, my love? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to skip over you. Hey, Winetta. Yeah, Yahweh definitely don't want you to open your third eye because then you'll know the truth. That's the whole Eve thing. He can't stand for people to know the truth. You said a phone screen is like scrying. I'm not sure about that one, but okay. To a degree, I mean, basically, people don't even understand writing or whatever spelling. What we read is important because spelling is a form of spell word. They ain't lying about that. What we hear, the mute, because again, I had to change some of the music that I chose to listen to. And I'm not saying I'll never listen to some of that again, but just when you're really focused on awakening and ascending, your focus has to be different. Therefore, we are transmitting and receiving mechanisms. So what we choose to allow ourselves to receive by even by way of our so-called entertainment has to change if we are on an ascension path. Now, people that ain't on an ascension path will tell you stuff like Damien just said, you can do whatever you want to and all the rest of that stuff. Not really, Damien. You only gonna know you gonna have a limited kindergarten version of what you call truth. Christians swear up and down they got the be all and end all information, and 90% of them don't have no clue what they're doing or what they're actually worshiping, because they stay blind because all they're getting is what the church tell them is approved information and material, and their eyes are closed. They cannot hear the truth. So you're not truly going to get it. But again, if that's what you want, do you? Exactly, bro. 100. They're going to tell you everything that could actually help you is evil. And then they're going to turn around and tell you that everything that it can hurt you is good. You can only look at church approved information. You don't need to, you don't only meditate on the word of God. Crystals are bad, herbs are bad. Meditation is only to be used in the word of God. Anything to do with your chakras is bad. All of that stuff so you can stay dumbed down and stuck. Light bulb guys, is I was talking about that yesterday. I mentioned it on a couple of live streams before too. People don't even understand the vast majority of people that have their negative paranormal experiences are Christians, Muslims, and Jews. When you in Yahweh's world, his minions will play with you like that. All that paranormal activity, that be them good Christians. To be getting all scratched up in the middle of the night and levitating and all that other stuff and get under demonic attack because they don't understand. They will not accept, they cannot understand that Yahweh is the devil. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are Satan worship on from the back door, whereas Luciferianism and Satanism is just open Yahweh worship from the front door. But they all are worshiping the devil and they have no idea. But they do have more paranormal activity than anybody else on the planet. Bye, evangelist. If you don't like what's happening here, leave. That's all. Hey, Raquel. Yeah, Cronus ate his children, and Kronos is the equivalent of Zeus in a different pantheon. Trinity Ivy Moon Goddess. Well, if you don't believe in the devil, then you're going to wind up under attack by him. You don't believe in him because anonymity is one of his greatest gifts. He's convinced the world he don't exist, but he does exist. His name in many pantheons has shown up. He's shown up as Baal, Beelzebub, Yaldabaoth, Zeus, Odin, Dionysus, Bacchus, and lately Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah. He is Satan of Eden. He's the devil. He is real. And you can act like you don't want to believe in him, but you'll stay stuckity stuck. No, it is a real devil. His name is Satan of the Eden. His other name was Enlil. And through the pantheons, he done spilled out his latest names are Yahweh and Jehovah. I'm not saying that in a question. I'm telling you that unequivocally. Now, the longer you continue to deny it, you'll stay stuck and under the influence of the devil. He is a real being. He's not the redhead pitchfork lie that they tell in Christianity, but he is Yah the Baal. You might want to do a little research on that. You can live and you can sit there and live in your deniability, but that don't mean it ain't true. You don't have to believe in electricity, but if you stick your finger in a light socket, bad things will happen. So if you keep trying to deny and convince yourself that the devil isn't real, you're going to wind up under the influence of him, sweetie. So sorry. Thank you, Aurora Moon. I hope you enjoy your time here because we are about that life. We about learning and growing here. And newsflash, I wish I did have some, boo, but guess what? You might want to do less of that and more cleaning out your spirit because I don't have no problem with people smoking weed. I meditate with weed, but most people grossly overuse it, which will impede your spirituality as well. Exactly. He was a liar. He's a liar and the father of the lie, and there is no truth in him. Yeshua told people that about Yahweh. He was speaking directly to the Jews. He was not talking to the Pharisees or the Sadducees. He was talking to the Jews and trying to tell them that they were worshiping the devil. They didn't know, but he tried to tell them and they didn't want to hear it. Of course he does, Celestine, but Yahweh Jehovah walks on two legs. Read Genesis chapter 18, verse 1. That's the one time in the scriptures he said no man could see God and yet live, but he wanted that barbecue that Abraham had, and him and his two messengers physically showed up to Abraham, sat under the tree and ate bread and milk and curds and a sheep that Abraham had slaughtered and fed him. And Abraham washed his feet. That story is in the Bible for a reason. He was a physical being who lied to everybody else and told people that he was a god. And he always showed up in the clouds, in the burning bush, in the behind all that flashbang stuff, so people wouldn't actually see his face. He reminded me of the Wizard in the Wizard of Oz. All of that stuff that he did until Toto pulled the curtain back and they saw the truth of who the wizard was. That's some Yahweh stuff. Some of the angels are light bulb. It depends on who you're talking about. Like in the book of Enoch, it talks about how Shemjaza and Barakiel and all of them were their team Yahweh. They're going to go down with Yahweh. The ones that are on team Enki, the ones that we really can look to for help, are Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel, and Phanuel. Uh, Osama, if you're coming here trying to be funny on some racist stuff, you'll be removed rather quickly. So be careful. Just be very, very careful. That honestly, that's all they are. The word angel only means messenger. We've been taught this invisible sky daddy stuff. So we get stuck in that in our heads, but they are lower ranking Anunnaki beings. So they appeared to us on the big dog Anunnaki behalves, and we call them angels. But yes, they are beings from Nibiru and other planetary systems as well. Some of them probably do take on different forms and can appear through the dimensions and all that. They're very powerful beings, no doubt, but they're not what we think they are. And the ones that fell, the Watchers, they basically just fell because they chose to go and mate with humans when they wasn't supposed to. And they created a race of giants because apparently their particular nationality, cosmic nationality of beingness, wasn't very compatible with human females, and they created a race of evil, nasty giants. that not only they overfished and overate the animal population, but then they started killing and eating humans, and then they even turned on each other and cannibalized each other. The Watchers brought black magic and all sorts of things that humanity's consciousness was not prepared for yet into the beings. That's why they're called fallen angels. They brought a lot of stuff to the planet that humans should not have been exposed to. Awesome, Aurora. Awesome. And that's why I said people come on here and they jump at me like I just made this stuff up and I'm talking out the side of my neck. They don't understand. This information has been spilling out onto the planet for over 100 years now. It just wasn't as readily available because the internet wasn't there. I came from a little tiny town in southeastern US in the Bible Belt. These books and things that I've been reading and going through would never ever have been in my public library in my hometown. But thanks to the internet, this stuff is coming out. Now, the Lost Book of Enki, that translation was not authenticated, peer reviewed, if you will, for official copyright and publication until like 2001 or 2002, something like that. Sitchin had been working on it for a while, but they constantly digging up more and more of these ancient texts and translating them and getting them out to us. But people are still stuck on the religious lies, don't want to believe any of that. I had this Mormon dude yesterday that tried to tell me, he went and did a little Wikipedia search. Well, Zechariah Sitchin wrote that. I said, no, he didn't write it, dear. He translated it. Yeah, the writings come from cuneiform tablets. The oldest writings that they have found to date on this planet were the Anunnaki cuneiform tablets. The very first civilization that they know of after the Anunnaki was the Sumerian civilization. And the Sumerian civilization was destroyed due to Marduk unleashing the first the weapons of terror in the Anunnaki wars. He was trying to fight Nanar, I think, and he just Eridu, Schumer, and I think Shurabak were destroyed almost overnight from the nuclear fallout of that. But those were the oldest of the texts and histories that we have available. The story behind the Atlantis, the Atlanteans were the Niburians. They called themselves the Atlanteans when they were on Nibiru. And yes, Yvonne, I said nuclear. They tell the story in the Lost Book of Enki. There were galactic weapons that the ships were outfitted with. They called them the weapons of terror. They were never to be used on land. When their atmosphere got jacked up, they deliberately unleashed one on Nibiru to try to force a volcano to erupt, and it was not a good thing. So they knew it wasn't a good idea to do that. When they started coming to Earth to mine the gold, Enki took the weapons off of the ships that were going to be shuttling the gold back and forth, and he hid them in a cave. But when Marduk was on this power grab with his cousin, he petitioned the seven who judged back on Nibiru, or he went to his granddaddy or whatever to ask for permission to blow up one of the landing stations to basically keep Nanar from getting too much power. And they granted him the ability to do that. And Enki did not want to release the location of the weapons of terror, but somebody in Enki's camp went behind his back and told Enlil where they were anyway. And Marduk unleashed that weapon, and the fallout from that, the nuclear fallout from that, the winds carried it all the way up through northern Africa, all the way up through the steppe on Eridu, and wiped out that entire civilization damn near overnight. I'm not sure what your name is, but you asked about the. Wait a minute. Yeah, you asked about the NDE experiencers, the light at the end of the tunnel. No, the light. Honestly, some people when they it depends on what they expect to see to some degree. Some people will meet up with Yeshua or the angels, or some people will meet their family members that are waiting for them. Honestly, the ones that I'm interested in, there's a very small handful of people who, for whatever reason, they expect to see bad things. I think they're having some issues here on earth, and some of those actually have a hell experience. There are very, very few of those, but truthfully, they kind of you see what you expect to see. Exactly. That's why I said in an NDE, they kind of create their reality too. That's what I'm, and again, if you're open to connection through the veil with your loved ones or with angelic beings and all of that, you can see that. For those who expect that they've been kind of bad here on earth and they're unworthy and all that, there are a few, a very small few, but there are a few that have a hell experience in their NDEs. Rotor, I love Trump too. I don't have an issue with that, and I'm not gonna go much further than that. He is a human being, and I honestly don't think that he's what people think he is. Is he perfect? No, but is he doing? I understand what he's attempting to do, and he's definitely better than the mess we had going on. So I don't have no beef with him. I actually had. He is looking for attention, but I don't mind addressing it because I used to be one of those folks that bought into a lot of the Democratic leftist lies, and a lot of it is lies. They took a whole bunch of little teeny sound bites and put it out there in a way to create a narrative. But if you ever go back and watch the full clips of the things that they grabbed them sound bites from, 90% of the stuff that they accuse Trump of, he has not done. But in meditation, one time a few years ago, I actually got a chance to respect his gangster, so to speak, and I had to come off of the Trump hate thing and understand that the things that are playing out in the political field right now are part of what's going to happen as this thing winds down. And it's often not what humans are trying to make it look like, but nothing can happen here that is not being allowed to happen by one side or the other of this issue from the unseen realms. We war not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. Unless you think that God, quote unquote, God is asleep, you don't need to hate on that man. You really don't. Because he damn sure ain't no worse than the one that had the reins for the last 4 years, running around sniffing children's hair and taking showers with 11-year-old girls and putting black men in jail and making it his life's mission to do that, and then turn around on some racist nonsense and tell people if they ain't black if they ain't voting for him. Like, people forgot what a raging racist he was for all of his life. Now, I don't do a whole lot of politics, but I'm not stupid either. A lot of black folks in America have been put to sleep by that fool. I'm not one of them. So you can come in here and say what you want to about Trump, because I know he didn't get to be a monster until the Democrats painted him as one. Black folks in America loved Trump for decades until Democrats told them to hate him. That part. So if you got a problem with that, this might not be the channel for you either. But I'm not gonna get much further on that because I really don't care to do politics. Oh yeah, honey, they sleep, sleep, sleep. I get so aggravated with that because, again, not to crawl deep into politics, but people, if they don't read, they only learn enough about this country to pass the test in school. They don't really read with comprehension, and they don't know what the hell they looking at. The Democratic Party ain't never been nothing good for black people, period. The Klan is a product of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party was 100% against ending slavery. The Democratic Party unanimously voted against the civil rights movement. Why black people kiss up Democrats' asses, I have no idea. Well, to some degree, you can say that, Mad Nigerian. They are to some degree. But I'm saying, as far as black people in America, my entire life, for a long time, 95% or more of black people, if they were going to claim a political party, it was almost like assumed it was going to be a Democratic thing. And Hoover said that. He said, I have them N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. He said it, and he did it. Yeah, I do have a man, Harumi. Whatever. You came, you know what? You came with that fool. You ain't got nothing new to say in a whole week's time. You said that same ignorant crap about 3, 4, 5 days ago. You really are brain damaged if you can't think of nothing original to say in a whole week's time. And I told you then, if a man came along that was worth me making a sandwich, I get in there and make him a whole meal. But you and nobody else can't come in here and don't know me and tell me nothing. Goodbye, Harumi, because you ain't it. I may need a real man, but you don't even know where to find one. You surely can't find one in the mirror. And I know that. Goodbye. I'm glad you don't want nothing I got, because I ain't got nothing for you, astronaut. I don't care if you don't. First of all, you really can't have good sense. I really can't even get this fluffy, if you will, without knowing how to cook. So you can say, "I told nobody want my food." I ain't trying to cook for you either, so you be all right. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, y'all, the fools is here, so we got to go. They really ain't got nothing to talk about. But like I said, this is somebody who genuinely showed up like almost a week ago and said the exact same thing. That's just foolishness. It's not even about letting people down, it's like leading people lost. That's the scary part. The main reason black people in America supported the Democratic Party is because they came in with welfare and that kind, the affirmative action movement and welfare, and people thought that that was a really good thing. But truthfully, at the end of the day, it's a temporary band-aid. But the hoops that they made people jump through to get welfare further divided the black family, and it truthfully didn't even help as much as they want, because it came back through, and of the economic statuses, poor white folks got the majority of the welfare rolls anyway. We got the mental stigma of it being a black people's issue. But I can remember when I first had my kids, I had a deadbeat daddy and had to go down and apply for food stamps and all that. When I went into the food stamp office, it was like 95% white people in there. But they turned around and mentally fried black people into believing that that's what they were supposed to do, and came up with stuff like Section 8 and all of that to further separate the family. You can have all of this if you just get rid of your man. So between affirmative action, welfare, and Section 8, they literally divided black families and culture in America, and it harmed more than it did good. Before the civil rights movement, how do you think about this now? Exactly. But how do you think about this? Slavery ended in 1865. And by around 35 or 45, black people in America had amassed enough wealth that rich white folks hated it enough that they burned Black Wall Street to the ground. How could they have a Black Wall Street if black folks wasn't up and doing their thing? Madam C.J. Walker became a millionaire. The other lady, she didn't have the quite backing, but black millionaires were being made. Cadillac came along when GM came through and Cadillac was getting ready. Was it Cadillac or Lincoln that was about to go under? And they started selling to black folks and literally saved the brand. Black people were starting to amass wealth, and the folks that didn't like it started burning black cities to the ground. And then shortly after that, they came up with this whole push for the civil rights movement. And towards his end of his days, Malcolm X said that Martin was doing the wrong thing, and shortly before his death, Martin even acknowledged that he had done the wrong thing. He delivered his people up into the hands of a monster. He did the wrong thing. Hey, Mag Love, how are you? You said, who do I call on for protection and guidance? Lord Enki and Yeshua Aurora Moon. I definitely look to Yah. I look to Enki, Yeshua. I call on Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael for healing and for protection. I call on Archangel Metatron, yeah, and Thoth. Those are my guides. Yeah, affirmative action is a band-aid, and it didn't do what it was supposed to do, but it was a mental poison more than it was a physical help. It really was. It's again, Celestine, it was a band-aid on a gunshot wound. Why do you think they're getting rid of it? Because truthfully, it helped to some degree, but it also left people feeling embracing victim consciousness and allowed the notion of black people are inferior. And truthfully, it doesn't help an economy. It doesn't even help a people when you hire somebody just to fill numbers. If the person isn't qualified, they should not have the job. I don't care what their color is. And because of affirmative action, I know for a fact there have been times when I was qualified for jobs that I could not get because they no longer had to fill a certain quota. So just like some folks got in under the radar because of color, once they hit them token numbers, they was free to turn away as many qualified black people as they wanted to. Nobody wants to talk about that, about the black folks that couldn't get jobs because of affirmative action either. But I've had it happen to me. Proverbs 8, I don't know. Let me see. Just talking about wisdom. It's a long chapter right now. I'm gonna write this down and I'll do a little more looking in because I can't just jump up at 11:20 at night. And I thought it was gonna just be a few verses, but Proverbs 8 is like 30 verses, 35, 36 verses long. So that's gonna have to be a conversation for another day. I might do an uploaded discussion for it. Okay. Niana, I'm gonna try to be on by 10 a.m. if that's I don't even know as far as the daytime tarot. I know there are a few really popular readers that come on super early in the morning. I'm not sure what would be a good time, so I'm gonna try 10 a.m. and see if that turns out to not be a good window. I may be able to adjust that later, but yeah, it really don't. Hey, Patricia, ain't seen you in a minute. Laudel, yeah. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Exactly. And honestly, that's why I say it may in the dissolving of DEI, it may hurt a few people in the dissolving, but ultimately, in order for us to stop catering to and making racism a thing, we're just going to have to stop it at some point, for real. And as long as they continue to harp on it, it's going to continue to be a thing. So at some point, affirmative action was never intended to be a permanent thing. It had to go. Beautiful people, peace, love, light, and prosperity to you. Oh yeah, that part too. We under the new moon energies though, you would think, but they all start going a little nuts at 11:20. But yeah, I'm gonna jump on off of here because, like you said, they do start coming out. Christine, thank you so much for joining us. Subscribe to the channel and set for notifications so that the next time I go live, you can get in a little bit earlier. Same thing for you, Mariela Mercado. I'm glad to have you here. Zion Chikuma, I'm glad to have you here as well. But I am gonna have to go because this is the time of night when the crazy start coming out, and we have been on here since like 8 o'clock. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to jump out. Peace and blessings to you all. I love you so very much. And until next time, namaste.